like Freecs need to win this game 4, or Kingzone DragonX are going to MSI.
Certainly we're the favorites coming into this one. Nice shot of the arena we got here, the gymnasium. And I've just been told we're ready to jump into pick and ban, so enough waiting. Let's hop into it for game number 4 right now. You mentioned consistency. Red side picked every time. I would expect the bans to look similar as well.
Karma, Rakan, and Gangplank, interestingly, on the blue side, trying to deprioritize and answering Gangplank for Keen, as Gangplank has been a big pick for Khan and Keen this series. And if we know anything about Khan, he's away from Jace so far. He's been on the Cho'Gath. He's been going for tanks, so doesn't want to be answered in the 1v1 in that way. Is the Kai'Sa going to jump up to first pick status? Will Afreeca try to launch it over and as an option and then maybe get a jungler instead? Or will they expect Kingzone to first pick a jungler and first rotation the Kai'Sa? No Kai'Sa ban.
No Kai'Sa ban. That was the question on everybody's mind. The elephant in the room has been spotted, and it was Sion. And that means that Kai'Sa might be first picked here. The Kingzone, they're thinking, hey, is it a trap? What are they going to respond with here? Certainly some other picks still left available.
And I think you're really happy for them to jump onto the Tahm Kench again after the struggles for Tucson in game number 3. So Tahm Kench was banned on red side by Afreeca in game number 2. Kai'Sa is going to be first picked.
I don't know what to say. We said it, Papa Smithy, you gotta ban it out, but they say no, Sion is scarier. I tend to disagree after games 1 and 3.
And the crowd's roar agrees with you, Valdez. Will this be the question that the duo of coaches in Comet and also Zephyr will have to answer for, as Kai'Sa will be first. A lot of champions do really well in lane against Kai'Sa. It's not the lane that's the struggle, unless you can get a big lead and start going aggressive with the killer instinct in the 2v2. The Tahm Kench priority paid off in game number 1, certainly did not in game number 3. It is denied here. They feel like they can't answer the duo of Kai'Sa and Tahm Kench. But I don't know if the reward is as big for the side of Afreeca, as we're packing in the Kog'Maw early.
Afreeca say, I know your Kai'Sa's good. It can hyper carry 2-3 items. What's better at that? Let's try the Kog'Maw. Get a front line for Kramer. I saw him saying it in the booth too. He's like, pick the Kog'Maw, Kog'Maw, Kog'Maw. Kramer calling for it. He wants to go on the Kog.
And Valdez, if you ask me, okay, think of those previous games, Kai'Sa's banned. What works with the Sion? What works with the comps that Kingzone were playing? I would have said Kog'Maw. So Kog'Maw was going to be the fallback. He's safer in some ways, but having mobility and also the ability to go invisible in fights is also very powerful. And it feels like Kai'Sa might be doing Kog'Maw's job better. There's also some irony at being chosen against Kingzone and against Prey. As we mentioned, the Talia on blue side would go down. They're saying if you want something like the Yasuo, you need it now.
Kingzone challenging Afreeca, specifically Kuro, to step up to the plate. What's it going to be? Yasuo?
How's Yasuo?
How are your champions? How you feeling, Kuro? Want to roll the dice? You want to play with me, says BDD? What's going to be the answer? Looks like for now we might not get the answer. Zach being hovered down to the last second. He will not step up to the plate. He says, I'm going to go back to safety. I'm going to play Azir again.
And we had pick back ban chicken happen right there, Valdez, because the question from Kingzone was, if you want the Yasuo, you need it now, and you're not going to be able to play with your red side and your last picks as well. Or if you're going to go for the Azir and lock in your mid laner now, there's going to be a significant cost there. Some global fans in the audience. Feels like Kingzone won the chicken. They don't have to deal with a terrorizing matchup. It's a much more competitive one between Talia and also the Azir. The Cho'Gath ban comes in. Imagine Khan receiving a Cho'Gath ban in 2018, but it's been a weird and wonderful series, and that's the way it goes for Kingzone.
Cho'Gath doing a nice job tanking up in that last fight. Also got the Devour on Takuro to help with the damage, so can't really blame him for that. And let's see what else gets banned out here. Going to take away the Alistair to take some more engage away from Gorilla.
And you're also taking champions away from Mowgli. We mentioned that Mowgli's champion pool was pinched a little bit in game number 3, second game on the Rift. He now has to deal with a Zac ban again. The Sejuani taken away. When it comes to priority junglers, he's pretty short of them, Valdez. There's not many available.
What's going to be the choice here for Mowgli? Certainly some eyes on him. The Trundle's still available. definitely seems like the obvious pick here for Mowgli. If he wants to hop onto that one, they can counter pick for the top lane if that does get locked in.
They seem to be happy with dealing with the Morgana. Again, the Alistar ban over Morgana is very curious for me to see. Now, Morgana would still be strong here. The Black Shield only works on one person. Theoretically, you can get in there and knock back the other. And there is 2 threats on this comp, on blue side this time, for Kingzone when they were running the 1-threat Scion comp in game number 2. Safety in top lane, and then the support pick is what Kingzone need to decide in the second round.
Gonna have to blind pick something for the top lane. Gnar seems like the obvious choice. They'll put more thought into it as Morgana seems like the foregone conclusion already is going to be locked in. What will it be in the top lane for Khan? The only question left remaining for Kingzone.
Something safe is what we expect. The Jace is available in this game, and he hovers it. The famous pick here, undefeated on the year. He's going on Jace.
This could be the last game, and Khan wants to go out with a bang, saying, what you got, Keen? You got a solo kill on me? Let me show you my Jace.
Khan says, I can't have Cho'Gath into a tank. I'm going hyper carry. I'm going for myself. He's playing for himself, but now Keen jumps onto the Camille to try to answer the 1v1, but it's Khan's Jace, and the crowd explodes.
What a series of events here in the pick and ban. Hey, get off your phones. Look at the screen. We got a crazy pick and ban. Jace versus Camille up in the top side.
And you know what Kingzone is saying? We've had enough of team fighting. Now it's all about the side lanes. Talia hits one side lane. Jace with some items hits a side lane. And then Kai'Sa can do our best Vayne impression from a couple of years ago and look for an all-in in the 1v1 as well. She will situationally be in the mid lane wave clearing, but if you're caught in transition, suddenly Talia, Jace, and Kai'Sa are coming, and you're dead.
Not sure who he was trying to imitate there. Maybe Mowgli, I would have to say, saying he's pretty smooth with the glasses. Either way, we have the field set now. The battleground is set for game number 4. Kingzone on match point. They go for the carry. Finally, Khan gets a chance to unleash himself, but Keen has shown that he can fight this guy 1v1.
There's fighting Khan, and there's fighting Khan on the Jace on this team. Longzhu Gaming into Kingzone DragonX. He has lost once on Jace. 15-1 coming into this game. They don't always prioritize it. They're picking it here and saying, Keen, you want to fight fire with fire? Good luck with Khan's Jace.
So much pressure onto that bit of a rookie in the top side in Keen. Having some of the least experience, perhaps him and Mowgli. Mowgli jumping onto the Gragas, the pick that Spirit looks so strong on in game number 1, saying, I can do it just like my Hyung. Let me show you. I'm gonna take down Peanut as well on the Gragas. Forgoes the Trundle to take that pick as well. Kuro going back to safety with the Azir, and everybody's really curious, can the Kog'Maw do it as well up against the Kai'Sa? Let's jump into game number 4 and find out. All right, hold the phone here. Mowgli taking some damage in the jungle. No fan cheers yet. Okay, we'll let you do it now.
And one more. Always a bit chilling to hear those huge fan crowds. They're loving this timer come in. The countdown, of course, very common at Riot events, but much more different here at Spo TV. Very, very early invade topside, not wanting to give Gragas a free jungling phase like Gragas did earlier in this series. Spirit having a wonderful game earlier today, game number 1. And I want to talk about this pick ban because in some ways the Jace comes out of left field because both teams seem to be erring back towards strong front lines, looking for fights, looking for the 5v5. They see the Kog'Maw draft. They consider their options. Once the Gragas is locked in, they decide they don't want a team fight. There may be too many tools for Afreeca. And Kingzone were only going one area, and that's the jugular. You go for the Jace, saying, we can close the series if we get a lead through the Jace. Early trading off fantastic for Khan, but this is very much, we want to close this series before game 5 pick by going for the blind pick Jace, knowing that Keen only has a few options available.
Yeah, certainly looking confident so far, at least at the level 1. Things should eventually change We've heard legends of Khan's Jace. We casted him multiple times throughout the season. And we finally get to see it return in the finals. I thought it would just be forever banned or looked over by Khan, but he brings it back. So much pressure onto Keen. I can only just imagine being in the booth and as a rookie trying to go up against one of the best top laners in the world in a carry matchup like this.
And the wonders of these best-of-5 series that always seem to have their own meta. First time we're seeing Kingzone on patch 8.6 is the biggest surprise of the draft is not how Khan got Jace, it's how Prey got Kai'Sa again. Kai'Sa on the day, 4 games in a row. 20 kills already to his name. 3 games into the series. Let's look at damage dealt numbers, Sejuani. She's having a tough one, Valdez.
Yeah.
And what's Tucson doing?
Interesting timing before 3 minutes to throw that one up, but I guess, you know, got to mix it up from time to time. Keep the fans guessing.
But this Jace does come at the cost of really any hope at those mid to late game team fights. There's always things about timings. The reason that Kingzone are so good at the Jace, the reason that we have these memes about, honestly, most other teams going Jace. KT, I like their Jace. I think Kingzone have a great Jace. But it's not just NA Jace, basically every other Jace. That's kind of the meme for me is you need to be so good at playing your side waves to close games as Jace. But that's how Kingzone play. They give all their gold to their top lane. They're happy to have Prey be the lowest income AD carry in the world in a major region. They're happy to have him group, do his thing, usually on Ezreal, this time on the Kai'Sa. And then either you enter lane against Jace with 3 items and you die, or you lose free objectives to the Jace. So they're trying to go for the juggler with the aggressive pick, and it's fun to see it in this big winning game for Kingzone.
Yeah. Looking to strike back. Ooh, that was close. Nice devour. We were talking about how Tucson was having a little bit of trouble once it got later on in these fights with his devour, but at least looking good with it in the lane.
Kind of a struggle for him to be back on the Tahm Kench. Knows what he needs to change from game number 3. Top lane, we're seeing a lane gank enacted by Peanut. There's some deep vision. He's seeing some pings towards Mowgli coming into mid. They don't know where Peanut is.
Peanut was edging his way towards the top side, decides he wants to come into the red side jungle of Afreeca now, try to find Mowgli.
Peanut kind of needs to play this game a lot. With hook shot, with the ultimate coming at level 6, if they can control red side jungle, Jace can just do his thing, get lots of auto attacks and poke onto both Keen and the turret. If they don't know where he is, an ultimatum into a Gragas and the squishy Jace is going to be dead. So top lane, red side control as much as possible is what Peanut is tasked for to allow Khan to do his thing.
Mowgli trying to help out. We've seen this before where Khan, when he pushes in so aggressively, the junglers try to fight up against it, but usually I feel like Khan just gets away with it. He pushes so aggressively, hits him under turret, and then the jungler still can't do anything.
The control ward there actually gets massive value because he knows he's under no pressure of being ganked, so even low mana, happy to push in. An all-in attempted by Keen, but it's going to be a bit of poke. Damage v damage. What a refreshing change from some of our earlier games this series.
Keen hasn't blown his pot yet, so in the end of it all, Khan realizing, okay, I need to go back and buy. So Keen should have the push there, maybe bait out the teleport from Khan, and there it is.
Serrated Dirk Rush. We know what Khan is all about. Youmuu's Ghost Blade expected here to force the ultimate to be used. The movement speed from the Youmuu's to sidestep a hook shot. But the ultimate, of course, nothing can be done there. For now, good lane control in mid lane. We talked a bit about the pick ban chicken, where
top lane really low. He's got his ultimate, but he's forced to flash away into the hook shot. Is he going to try to shock blast? The answer is no, as Keen was far enough away.
And that's what happens when you stay in lane against Jace with a Dirk and BDD. Actually going to force Keen to back. Doesn't even have to invest the ultimate. Buys a lot more time in the top side and should force the teleport as well.
Even forces the smite out of Mowgli, which is just obnoxious at the end of it all. To get even more of a lead there. BDD winning the lane so far against Kuro, helping win lane and top side as well as the jungle. So winning in 3 places as one, it's got to feel pretty good.
Jace now has a flash advantage. They lose the control ward that was giving them a lot of information on Mowgli's pathing. But still, definitely set up some success is this Jace. Peanut's back. He's got a bit of a tent in the top side.
Now, these junglers, certainly with the carry versus carry matchup, you gotta always look towards the top side as it's just on a knife's edge. If you can get there and push it one direction, you're going to help out your team so much.
And to people, again, who may not have joined us for the entire season, this hasn't been Khan all season. He hasn't been pick, ban, Jace status. There's plenty of games where Jace was not banned and they didn't select it because Kingzone's thing with Peanut in the lineup, Valdez, is they've had the ability as 5 players to step up and be that hard carry, like Prey in the first 3 games of this series, but also step back. Khan has been on the gangplank. Everyone has taken the scaling side and also the proactive side of the matchups, and that's the reason that Kingzone instills so much fear to team around the world, is you can't ban out one person without 4 people getting exactly what they want at every moment. And having that mindset shift, having that trust in your teammates to allow anyone to be the carry on the day is what separates Kingzone from the rest.
Peanut coming in here, he's level 6 now, just ups the pressure in every single lane for Afreeca. We already have Kuro a little bit far behind, but now he's got to play even more passively, losing his control ward, arguably getting a bit more effectiveness on the map, I'd say, compared to Mowgli, even though Mowgli does have the 85 damage over 0. I know you guys are loving those damage graphs.
Tucson has to teleport back into lane. Kog'Maw vs Kai'Sa, nothing special there. Want to stop Tucson from doing any sort of freeze, and now Kramer's awkwardly forced to lane, even though it was a cannon wave with no mana at all. So no bot lane control, no top lane control, and Peanut and BDD on the roam. This map looks suspiciously like a Kingzone dominated one.
Yeah. I think the call is coming in, though, as immediately Keen is backing up, but this might be too late. He's going to have to read it. Nice read from Keen. Does ultimate to get away from the Arctic Assault, but will it matter in the end? Trying to do damage. The Shock Blast is going to be dodged. Minions blocking that one, and First Blood will go over to BDD.
Keen did everything he could. He brought his dancing shoes. He was ready to go, but it did not matter. That's what happens when there's so many advantages on the side of Kingzone and no flash coming through from Keen. They get the kill. They force Kuro to walk over. Kingzone control the map.
That they do. There was no vision of that coming in. They still were able to read it, but not quick enough. Nicely done by Keen to try to survive as long as possible. Almost got the outplay. Rotation was a little bit too slow from Afreeca. They at least saved the turret at the end of the day. And this is the disaster of playing against Kingzone when they get the early game going. A flash advantage in top. Very nice read from Keen. This was Smeb-esque in his ability to wait out the CC and not go for the predictable instant hook shot. But even after that, he still dies. Kuro can't make anything of it, and Valdez, basically, if you pause this game and say any team in the world can resume the state now, 10 minutes in of where Afreeca is in, I think everyone loses. I think actually beating Kingzone when they have control of bot, control of top, a carry matchup in the top side, and first roam out of the mid lane is the most terrifying thing you can face in competitive League of Legends. There are so few good options. You're trying to lose the minimum everywhere, but when everywhere's on fire, you're going to get burned. The Kingzone fans, certainly they can feel the victory already. It happens in League of Legends, the early game goes your way and you're just feeling so good, as Kingzone has to be. They're playing so smoothly as a team, really have come back from that game 1 loss. They
have so much priority around mid, entire bot side, even though BDD hasn't even gone an inch towards it. The Kog'Maw lane has had no priority. They're so happy to keep Kog'Maw lane. It's amusing. Look at the CS number. It's 113 to 97. 200 poor creeps plus have died before anyone has gone for a shopping trip. Because if you keep that Kog'Maw in lane, you know that top side is a paddock you're able to walk up to.
Yeah. Afreeca, unfortunately, from this position, you mentioned the huge lead that Kingzone has, but at least Afreeca does have Azir Kog'Maw. You get into the late game, they're going to be dishing out the damage as long as they can get to that late game. But Kingzone, one of the best teams at closing out games on time.
Seeing Mowgli and Keen topside. Flash is up, ultimate is up. It's definitely an all-in play here, but Khan showing a lot of respect. We are still seeing the 2v2 lane extend, by the way, as we're now going up to 226 CS. Theory behind this for Kingzone is even though they're winning really hard and getting a bit of damage, they're not min-maxing, so you're like, why are they doing this? The only way that Afreeca win any sort of skirmish topside is if Tucson shows up with the Abyssal Voyage or an outplay. If Tucson's in lane, there's no Tom Kench top.
Trying to bait in Khan here, but Peanut is coming in. They're going to get the stun, and they're trying to combo it down, but the flash comes in. And now Peanut's here on time. Can they get the damage now? No! The flash is going to come in from Mowgli. He does get the kill first, and now the TP trying to answer. Actually, it's the Abyssal Voyage trying to get on top of BDD. They do push him back. Now the focus is onto Peanut. He doesn't have his flash. He should be going down. They're going to give the kill over to Kramer. A fresh breath of fresh air here, going over to Kramer, picking up that kill.
That extra recall, getting Tucson topside, was able to actually answer that. That play happens a minute or two earlier. It always goes the way of Kingzone. Very nice detective work to get in there, Mowgli. He was unspotted. Gonna call the lane swap, and you can see Kramer and Tucson are done with this 2v2 stuff. They're trying to avoid it wherever possible.
Look at how far he gets baited in, but he knows he has the help of Peanut to come up the lane, up the river here.
That means something, but obviously when you're gonna 100% be followed by Keen, a 1-for-1 is all they're able to claim from this. The timing coming through from the Kog'Maw does find them stuff. Everyone rocks up topside, but the turret health is actually falling low, and Tucson, and it seems like just Tucson has had to stay top. We can't see the mini-map to confirm where the Kog'Maw's at.
Looks like he eventually made his way back in. Perhaps taking the Krugs. Yep, does take that out there. He's trying to catch up in CS. Does make sense, but eats a bit of turret health in the process. You'll notice that both the AD carries, they go back, pick up the Rage Blade. Certainly the item of the month, or maybe the year at this point.
Khan now has a Youmuu's Ghost Blade completed. So massive power spike here. Playing against Keen. Keen's ultimate's also on cooldown for a while, and that is information available to Kingzone, but they don't go for a true turret dive. Seeing the replay, and a 5-minute Dirk into a 12-minute Youmuu's Ghost Blade is every Jace player's happy place. They're reaching Nirvana watching this game.
Yeah, Keen awkwardly forced into the Ninja Tab. He delays his first item. Just going to be sitting on the Tiamat for now. We'll just have to play from behind, and that's really the story here for Afreeca. This is not the position you want to be in when you're down to match point for Kingzone. You don't want to have to say, oh, we have to survive for an extra 20, 25 minutes against Kingzone with this composition. Not the best feeling.
Topside, though, doesn't have the vision control that bot side did, and actually furthering down, doubling down on the 2v2 is pretty hard. They don't have vision control. Afreeca actually just trying to sneak a Rift Herald, unbeknownst to Kingzone, but that information is now there. Kingzone have to adjust their vision control if they want to have the same roaming potential topside they did earlier. But Jace is going to take everything on the bot side. He's not shy. He's pretty greedy, actually. In Korean culture, it'd be very rude, but he doesn't need any invitation to steal all your stuff.
Yeah. Stealing everything you can get. Kind of surprised he's not going for the Cloud Drake just yet. Needs a couple more items for that one.
See what the build is, because usually we see Hans Jace in tank matchups, and he goes for a very early Blade the Ruin King just to win the 1v1. Not as necessary here, but no lifesteal does make something like a Cloud Drake difficult to pick up. Peanut there for the lane gank again. Talia walking up. She will be spotted, though, on vision soon.
Yeah. Oh, boy, going to get locked up here, but Tucson is there in position. Not going to be able to engage on that. It's so annoying to deal with. The fact that you think you might want to engage at some points, but BDD will always be there on the Talia. You go back to pick and ban. They decide to just take the, more passive pick of the Azir instead of fighting for the lane to shut down BDD. And so far, he's been giving his run of the map on the Talia.
Well, that's what Kingzone were able to do from taking the Talia early. A surprise to Afreeca because they just played the Yasuo into the Talia previously. Remember, that was a last pick Yasuo, and if you're last picking in the first round, you have to deal with some bans towards your overall strategy and also a lot of other red flags. So that pick ban chicken was won by Kingzone. They get a standard Talia matchup, when that was probably one of the things we weren't prepared for, given the Yasuo pick not a week ago.
This game has looked a little bit different from some of the other ones. Usually the Drakes go down fast after some wins towards the bottom side, but it's been a lot of focus towards top. Certainly the carry matchup has made it way towards the top side, and now Kingzone are finally looking towards their first Drake. That Cloud Drake could certainly go down, but Afreeca looking to chunk down this top turret in the trade.
There's no all-in options for the Cog and Tahm Kench, so actually Jace, one release was a 1v2 champion, able to EQ minion waves, actually delays a turret take for a long time. He's very competitive. His flash was down, will be up soon. But they're not even going to get a turret from this because Jace is so safe in a scenario where it's not an engaged support, it's a disengaged support in the Tahm Kench.
Gonna check for the Rift Herald once again. As Prey comes on in here, you take a look once again at the scoreboard and just everything is going the way of Kingzone right now. Every lane, including the jungle, has a lead in terms of the CS. They get the first Drake. Now they're looking for potentially a play up towards the top side. They put down some control wards in the river, but this nice ward towards the Rift Herald will spot Peanut and BDD making their way up.
Found it very difficult to get a full stranglehold on topside vision and then threaten the Weaver's Wall play. So far, BDD has been predictable in his roam, so that means that everything's been a bit slower around topside. But you have to mention, go back what happened. Well, there was a free Drake on bot side and nothing punished it. Only a little bit of turret damage, no more. Prey already has the Evolve, I believe, on his supercharge. He was invisible, so that's a pretty good sign.
Yeah, that usually tells you.
No visual bugs, please.
Yeah. Gonna push in here with that, just a slight movement from Peanut. He actually just walks up towards there, and they say, okay, we got to give up the turret. Again, Afreeca, they have to play passively. They lose the early game from this, and they say, take whatever you want. It's going to be those outer turrets, the Rift Heralds, the Drakes, and they just got to hope that they can hold on.
But let's turn to what happened in the draft. Let's go back in time once again. Kingzone went Jace when they could have gone for something a bit more standard and said, we just want to take objectives.
Ooh.
Let's hold that point, though. We're all here. We're fighting.
Trying to come on from behind, Prey in a little bit of trouble with the Weaver's Wall, but they're going to get on top of him with the Camille, and that should be a double kill now. The Rift Herald does go over to the side of Kingzone, but 2 kills in the trade go to Afreeca.
And what was I going to say? I was going to say Kingzone wanted anything other than a team fight. They wanted free objectives. Afreeca finally get a really nice play into the back line. Getting 5v5s is going to be so hard with how big Jace is. They get their first of the game, and they get 2 kills off the bat.
Very nice play, Afreeca. They are stepping up to the plate, not as passive as I thought they would be. They catch Prey in an awkward position, and they get the kill.
Prey does not use any summoners, doesn't even use the heal. He knows instantly that he is dead when they pop over with the blast plant. They don't get the extra kill onto Peanut, though, and that is the awkward thing. They can't pick up 3 kills. They do lose the Rift Herald, and recreating that sort of a fight is so tricky against the Kingzone comp that will not be grouped for anything other than very big monster objectives.
Yeah, certainly feels like a once a game, twice a game maybe. If you're really, really smart with your engages, kind of thing that can happen.
I mean, that play happens at, say, 1945. Rift Herald dies. They get 3 kills in a Baron. Genius. But recreating it so tricky, and this is definitely not playing with his food. Just a aggressive Rift Herald summon and want to chunk this mid lane turret down even further with a Zirin base.
Yeah. Just right in the face of Afreeca, too, even with all that CC they have on the Gragas. Now the wave is going to push on in. Nice Devour to save Kramer's life. And they do take out that turret. That's the trade, the 2 kills. And then the Rift Herald does go over to Kingzone, so they're not too worried about those kills.
Now for Kingzone, they want Khan with teleport in the bot lane, pushing up, and Camille hoping that he finds a way to outplay the Jace. Spoilers, very unlikely. And then it's back to the Barons, back to the Weaver's Wall, behind the objective, the Rage Blade onto the Kai'Sa to DPS it down. Probably not going to see Jace and Kai'Sa hitting at the same time unless they've already killed most of the members of Afreeca. A lot of the different map assignments for Kingzone here are win-win. No one can enter the Jace 1v1. They play topside so safely, get vision in, and then threaten the Baron. Kingzone have a lot of options, and once again, this is the ultra-standard Kingzone playbook that was denied in our first 3 games.
Let the Baron dance begin, or at least the Baron Vision dance for Peanut. He's going to be on that duty. You notice that Mowgli is also making his way over to try to answer that. Was thinking about potentially a play up towards the top side, but now it's Afreeca that might look to make this play as Mowgli edges into the top lane, but good read from BDD to also back off.
There's just so many things Afreeca can't do. They can't have Keen lane with most of a Trinity Force and a Tiamat against a 2-item Jace. Not possible. They don't have strong engage. Kuro's not going to be an engager this game unless a fight is already decided, and the Abyssal Voyage is going to have to be defensive. And honestly, Tahm Kench should be next to Kog'Maw at all moments. That's the reality of going for this Kog'Maw comp. So Kingzone have every option. There's so little answers available from Afreeca. And right now, Afreeca Freecs, they just want to get some vision supremacy, take any easy objectives. They know there's a 5v5 they win later. It just seems like later will never come.
You mentioned how the Devourers from Tucson were a little bit lacking, especially in that last game. They have the confidence to get him back onto the Tom Kench. Pretty much necessary if you're going to go for a Kog'Maw comp at this point, but it's not just about the Devourers for Tucson. He needs to be on top of getting Abyssal Voyages. We've seen how much he can get done with that ability. We'll see if he can actually replicate that as he did in some of the early games that we've had tonight.
How do you do that? You need to know where the enemy team is. You need them to be predictable. They can't get that aggressive vision this game. The Kog'Maw always second in lanes and honestly situationally afraid of being bursted by the Kai'Sa. So it feels like aggressive Abyssal Voyages. That's looking very tricky. Mowgli's role this game is the saddest of any jungler because honestly, the only way Keen picks up CS is stealing away some of his camps. He honestly goes the Relic Shield into the Targons just to stand next to the Azir and get a couple of little Targons procs and get a bit of gold because putting down the vision is going to be pretty significantly delayed. It's basically a laning jungler. He's already 10 camps behind the enemy jungler. They don't control anything, and every time those EQs come through, they're deathly afraid of an all-in.
At least the Afreeca are going to be thanking their lucky stars that it's Cloud, Ocean, Cloud. No mountains, no infernals. Certainly the most popular and the most effective Drakes that we do have in this game that would allow this Jace to pop off even more alongside the Kai'Sa. So at least they've got that going for them if they're trying to pull off the miracle hold of probably 20 more minutes.
You give enough Cloud Drakes over to Khan, and we've seen his smooth moves. It was against SK Telecom for Longzhu in the last grand final, whereas outplays were big. This is a hard outplay.
Abyssal Voyage, he needs to get the damage down, but the Devourer is there, and another kill goes to Kramer. He is now 3-0-1. The lanes did not look so good, but little plays like that can get you back in the game.
That was really nice timing. That was the first time that Kingzone were disconnected with their Jace pressure for 24 minutes. They walk in, there's no counterplay because the enemy team is in base recalling, so they can't punish them on the map. It's only a kill. They don't get a flash from it, they don't get any summoner, but it's something that Afreeca get from just a very nice aggressive play. And now we will see that the cooldown from Tucson will be up there before too long.
Now, take a look at this. Nice ward from Kuro.
Jace walks up, and, well, the rest of Kingzone are disengaging, so Khan makes the measured play and says, well, I done goofed, doesn't use the summoner. He backs away. They can return to the play, though, and Afreeca need to make that play happen multiple more times in the next 10 minutes. When the death timers get long enough, maybe then a Baron collapse is possible.
Yeah. I mentioned it buys you a little bit of time. It's also some extra gold onto your Kog'Maw to let him hit his items just that much faster. At least they got that going for them. So can they hold on once again is the real question. They've been very safe in terms of not letting anyone else be caught out on the map. Just Kramer always sitting under turret with Tucson. And right now really is the only moment as Kuro in kind of an awkward spot. We'll see if Kingzone want to go in there. The answer looks like no.
So how do you close this game out? Again, many teams have been in this position with a strong Jace in the side lane, but how do you actually win the game? Remember that Kingzone don't have a tank support, so only Sejuani can face check and put down deep vision. Getting Baron vision is really hard for this comp. There's not even any health onto the build from Gorilla. He's gone Twin Shadows just to try to put down some vision by finding people with the spooky ghosts because the health and the Black Shield is not going to be enough. If he Black Shields himself, then one of his friends can be taken down in that long cooldown. They need the Jace to once again force a reaction. They need someone to come and gank the Jace in the bot side, and then they can try to take the Baron down by sheer damage. But a safe Baron, which for Kingzone represents putting down deep vision and then turning onto it, is not possible in this Jace comp.
They find Tucson over here. Are they actually going to go in there? The Black Shield onto Prey. Maybe think perhaps, but nice response from Keen to get into position to help out Mowgli if he did get into danger, or rather Tucson on the Tom Kench, I should say. You were talking about plays down on the bottom side to get on top of Jace. Well, the Abyssal Voyage is certainly one way to do that. Tucson was being pretty sneaky on top of a control ward of his own. I was thinking maybe he would try another play. The answer in the end was he just backs off again.
Shallow vision against this Kingzone team is enough to stop the Baron going down. And the Jace for now is only trading farm with Keen. The CS gap is actually closed between Keen and Khan. Not going to be a Flame Horizon this game, only 30 CS advantage for Khan. Despite keeping up his summoners. This is definitely the point where if you're a Kingzone fan and you're in ecstasy after the early game, you thought MSI was already shipped and ready to go. You're, you know, clicking on the button there, jumping onto your travel agent, trying to get a ticket to MSI in Europe. Well, slow down, because there's definitely no guarantees. Kingzone may be the best team at closing games against Jace, but I'm sure Afreeca will ready for a Jace game eventually over the course of a best-of-5. It's a very standard strategic choice coming through from Kingzone, and for now, the Baron buff is an objective that Kingzone can't visit.
Yeah, it's definitely something they've scrimmed about, you know, practice with some other teams. They have, you know, 9 members in their entire team. They can try to scrim with them, set up really nice things. They mentioned they're practicing so much, and this is definitely one of the situations against Kingzone that you have to prepare for. I love that you bring up that point. So far, they've been squeaky clean. After getting behind 3,000 gold at around 18 minutes, you're thinking, well, we're in a bit of a bad spot, but that 3,000 gold is still the same gap as we reach. Yeah, it's actually smaller now as we're getting closer to 30 minutes.
And that means that for now, Kingzone haven't been able to advance up the map, get an advantage out of the Jace, getting more and more towards item parity against Keen. Peanut's all alone. Remember, he is the person who can walk up and try to find some vision clearing, but there's no Baron to turn on with this Jace comp, and they need Khan to pull some pressure to the bottom side.
So far, it's been kind of lackluster. You know, he does some range shockwaves, and essentially these two top laners aren't really butting heads. There hasn't been a 1v1 big fight just yet. They're both successfully avoiding each other, and that means that Khan can't necessarily just full-on push down there. He doesn't have all of that pull on the map because of just that. Now, we do have the second Cloud Drake spawning here. You notice that Kingzone, they're setting up to try to bait someone out there. But actually, in the end of it all, it's Afreeca that are trying to run away here. And it looks like they should be just fine.
This is the sort of weird spot where you actually want to slow down the Drake and take it at 29 minutes, not try to rush it down before off spawn, because you need the Elder to spawn to stop Afreeca from having a strong defensive position around the Baron, but no more. So this is actually a very good time for Kingzone to be killing a Drake. They need the Elder on the map to add another variable that Afreeca can't prepare for, and that means the Elder Dragon will spawn just a touch after 35 minutes.
Yeah, nicely prepped there. They know that they're on a bit of a timer there themselves, even though they do have Prey, who has popped off 3 games in a row on the Kai'Sa, but still got to play around your compositions. Afreeca now coming into the river, actually more forward than they have been for most of this game, as they notice some members of Kingzone going back. But in the end of the day, just taking some vision and just going to back off once again. You'll notice that the inner turrets are still up, and that's a win here for Afreeca.
A burst damage onto the Gragas. Notice that Gorilla would not walk up. Didn't want to have to deal with being cast in. That does get them, again, some vision clearing. They inch forward, step by step, but impossible to clear all the deep vision, impossible to get full safety. That's why the Baron dance continues. People at home probably don't want to hear this, but it seems very unlikely. The game state will change significantly unless a big mistake is made by someone on the side of Afreeca. If you say, hey, what about a 2,000 gold lead at 35 minutes, they'd say yes, please.
Yeah. And you notice that finally Kingzone are saying, okay, enough with the shenanigans. We need to get in there. They're being a lot more aggressive with how deep they're putting in the vision. They're going as a team of 4 and saying, this is our jungle. But so far, Mowgli, he's been kind of the star of the vision from behind, right? He will never get caught. He says, okay, I'll check for the vision as I'm Gragas, and then I'll just back off when you come in, and once you leave, I'll just put down another control ward and re-establish that line. Hold the thought, though. They're trying to go for a picker on a BDD, but immediately TP coming in. About to get awkward here. Khan now trying to disengage. Will he go in onto Mowgli? Not going to land the Morgana Q. And that does mean that they do disengage once again. I know you guys are hating that word by now, but this does mean that Kingzone get a nice position in the middle of the map.
And Gorilla's actually walking up. He could have looked to try to interrupt backs. They're choosing between trying to brute force down the mid lane turret or try to burst down the Baron. They're going for burst. Gragas in base.
And here we go. Gragas very, very far away. It's going to have to be the roughest steal of all time. Can they do it? And the answer is no. Peanut getting the smite down at about 500 health. Afreeca, they hold on for a very long time, but at 31 minutes, finally Kingzone are able to secure the Baron.
Insanely smart Baron from Kingzone. It doesn't require deep vision. The jungler isn't even in the pit. They knew the enemy jungler couldn't be there. The Jace was grouped for the first time in the game, so they knew their speed. It was going to be sky high. And Sejuani just pops over for the smite. Easy as you like.
So you mentioned, how do you close out the game? Certainly the Baron is one way to help out with that close. How much can they chunk off here? They need to get some inner turrets and extend the gold lead and make it so that this Kog'Maw and Azir cannot pop off as we reach 40, 45 minutes. So far, getting that Baron you mentioned was extremely smart. But I'm looking to see if Kingzone in the finals here on match point, can they keep it together and actually close out the game?
And let's see what their approach is going to be, because the Jace, if he's not grouped, could easily be collapsed on by Keen. So right now, they seem to be grouping. Jace goes bot side, Kuro out of position for the moment. Not the world's best siege unless the Weaver's Wall is initiated. They want to play the side lanes instead. It's Prey.
Oh, Kramer eating so much damage. Prey with the stealth just sneaking up on him, and that means that the Kog'Maw gonna be forced to recall. That'll be the first inner turret for Kingzone.
Not often does the mid lane AD carry just walk up and almost assassinate. That's not something you see, but Kai'Sa has that power at 4 items here. Double Zeal item complete. They continue to rotate around the map. This was a minion wave that Jace brought up earlier. The inner turrets are gonna be indefensible for now, and Afreeca, just give them up.
Gonna take that one. At least they're holding the top lane, as you'll notice. Keen, without TP, is actually just pushing that out as far as possible. That's Kingzone setting their sights now on an inhibitor turret. We've seen this before. It's not 8.1. It's 8.6, as the Azir desperately trying to hold off these Baron minions once again.
There's a lane ward, but it doesn't seem like Keen's gonna come in. They're initiating.
There you go. The Devourer does come in, but now Mowgli in an awkward spot, but Peanut eating some damage.
Prey?
Mowgli nearly going down to the damage from Prey, but they do make him disengage, and that will be the first inhibitor. Once again in the front, Prey showing off that Kai'Sa saying, get the hell. Oh, there he is! They sniped the Kog'Maw! That is huge! That could be game-ending here. What will Kingzone do? They take out a second inhibitor. Let's see. They're going to push into these Nexus turrets now.
They're going to go for the jugular.
Oh boy, Kuro eating too much damage too. This could be the end of it. Peanut able to take out the top catch. Keen now jumping in. He gets one kill onto the Morgana.
Doesn't matter.
It's only the Morgana. The GA going to come on in here, and down he just go. Kuro can't do it. They're going to take him out, and down goes Mowgli, the ace in the end of it all. And it looks like Kingzone DragonX, as the Nexus goes down, will be your LCK 2018 Spring Split champions.
Kingzone DragonX come back to the LCK final. They do defend their crown. Not something we see too often in Korea. The best team in the regular season is confirmed to be the best team in the postseason. And now Kingzone DragonX go over to MSI. Still heavy favorites.
Looking to create a legacy for themselves. They win in summer 2017. They get another victory here in LCK. The genius of the coaches, or whatever Afreeca had, was not enough. Kingzone DragonX are your champions tonight.
We are. You can see it in the background. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for your excellent predictions. But hurry up next time. We have got RNG versus WE, and we are in picks and bans, and we are so excited. Because this is a huge matchup. This is the 4th time these teams have clashed into playoffs. And currently, RNG have the match win at 2-1 over WE. But WE have actually got more game wins over RNG. And I know you don't count it like that, Frost, but we got to take stock because we are already into pick and ban. And there's the Kai'Sa.
And there's the answer to the first question. Was Kai'Sa going to be a priority ban from red side? Again, yes. We are technically in game 1. RNG have a point advantage due to the higher seed. So that's why it says 0-1 at the top of your screen. And I have a feeling that we're never going to see Kai'Sa this entire split.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tragedy on the 8.6, but hey, we'll see how these teams change it up. Zetai in for Let Me in the top lane. His most played champion is Swain, and his first pick champion for RNG is Swain. Uzi taking his 3rd Xayah game of all time.
So what's interesting here is that this is Team WE throwing the gauntlet. Uzi was heavily criticized by the community for not playing Xayah come 2017 Worlds. He recently dispelled that, brought out the Xayah against LGD, and absolutely smashed that team, showcasing, yes, I can play the champion. It is Mystic's #1 pick, his signature champion. They grab a first priority Rakan, and they force Uzi onto a pit that I don't think that they believe he's comfortable on. I think this is Mystic saying, can you actually play this against the best Xayah in the world? Because we're about to find out.
Yeah, we certainly are. Varus is the answer from Mystic. He's playing against the best AD carry in the world. And if at one point he might have been the best Xayah, he's facing off against Uzi in some of the best form we've ever seen from him. He will have Celestial to back him up on that Rakan, but Ming now picks up his Alistar, and this bottom lane is looking spicy.
Calm down a little bit. He hasn't gotten to go to MSI yet, prove that he's the best AD carry in the world, but he is definitely one of the best in the world. No one is going to dispute that. And just to echo you, Dom, I have been such a huge critic of Uzi over the course of his career. I've never thought that at any point in time that he was definitively the best ADC in the LPL. 2018 spring, Uzi is the best. Head and shoulders way above anyone else.
Absolutely. Hands down, a spectacular performance from him. Question is, will RNG play around that style here today? Because we do have MLXG and Zetai in for today. Zetai taking that Swain likely in the top lane, though we know it could be flexed. And 957, who's been having a stellar performance, is taking the Gnar to answer.
Yeah, interesting. So the thing is that Swain has a really good, Camille has a decent matchup into Swain, and so it's very surprising to me that 957 would grab hold of the Gnar when he had options to go for the Camille. We now see that it's been banned out in secondary phase. I believe that's actually a jungle ban against MLXG.
Yes.
Because when you actually look at the difference between MLXG and Karsa, there are some champion pool differences outside of the obvious playstyle differences, and Jax and Camille are kind of the two that really stick out that also did get kind of some tweaks on this most recent patch, specifically the Jax.
Yes, well, we'll see if MLXG takes that or if he looks for something a bit more standard instead, because we are now looking at mid lane and jungle picks for these two teams, unless that Swain ends up getting flexed towards Xiaohu. Because now, with counter picks still available for RNG, you've got to wonder, what do they try to prioritize? It's Gragas for MLXG.
Interesting. So this isn't the first Gragas of the LPL, and we'll see how this series goes to see if it's going to be the last, but Gragas has been very hit and miss for me. You know, he's kind of middle in the road in terms of his jungle clear. He doesn't really fit as too much of like a skirmish or a tempo-oriented jungler. He's just kind of right in the pocket, and a lot of the teams are grabbing him more so to disrupt compositions or to have some sort of interesting pairing or matchup.
We'll see how that works out for MLXG, of course, playing his first game for RNG in 3 weeks, and Xie blind picks Cassiopeia in the mid lane. He has been on fire for Team WE throughout the entire split, the only one with a consistently spectacular performance. He knows he might be up against this Swain, but this is a statement from Xie in the mid lane. This
is also Xie being robbed of any mention of MVP. Yes, I think that Rookie deserves it, but I cannot believe that Xie didn't even make the shortlist there. MVP in my heart.
And of course, to follow him out, the helicopter parent, as we so like to call him, Magic, the new jungler for Team WE in his first ever LPL playoff game, taking Sejuani for some pretty safe engage and something I could possibly also follow up on that Cassiopeia, but that means Xiaohu in the mid lane sees that, gets to pick himself some counter pick, takes some long-range safety on Orianna.
So this is a very different look from RNG. We talked about on the desk how they're a 1-3-1 team. They have the lowest team fight or number of team fights per victory or per game. They also have the lowest kills plus assists. So when they do kill people, they're never doing it together. It's about playing those side lanes, it's about making those rotations or finding those assassins. This is a straight 5v5 composition. You've got so much zone control between the Orianna and the Swain. You have the Xayah, the Alistar, the Gragas to reset a team fight when Team WE try to roll over. This is RNG meeting Team WE on their own terms.
Which is a bit concerning considering how RNG's form has been so spectacular over the past weeks, and WE has been the team that has been looking a little bit faulty. And certainly, though we do have some slight patch changes going into 8.6, it's only been a week turnaround since we saw WE's loss to OMG in their arena in Chengdu. So to see RNG sort of give these concessions over in game 1 of this series could just be RNG saying, hey, we'll play you at your own style and we'll be better than you.
It's also the fact that we don't have tape of RNG doing this, especially with MLXG. The last time we saw MLX Jesus, as Rusty likes to call him, was 3 weeks ago against JD Gaming, in which RNG lost.
Definitely a statement for RNG to try to match it, because this is the new age rivalry. As I said, this is the 4th time in 5 playoffs that these two teams have met. It was semifinals, finals, then another semis, and now round 1 that these teams are meeting again. And while RNG currently holds the match wins, WE hold the game wins.
They also hold the championship wins.
Yes, that too, which RNG still have yet to claim with Uzi. The Mad Dog, one of the best AD carries in the world. He's made it into playoffs once again, but if he wants that title, if he wants to go to MSI, it starts here.
RNG have never missed an LPL final since 2015. That is 4 back-to-back consecutive splits. Their playoff run starts now.
As we load onto the Rift, the arena is packed. The playoffs have officially begun.
.500 strong, standing in the Shanghai Battle Arena at the top of the Super Brand Mall. We are one of the largest live venues in all of the LCS, League of Legends. Just LCS, all of it.
Yes, all of it. Definitely superior. Meanwhile, Uzi and Ming, you can see right now, they are now playing their 100th duo game. Compare that with Mystic and Celestial. They've played a grand total of 30 games together. Uzi and Ming have 3 times as much on-stage experience.
All I'm going to say is iBoy only played 22 games, and he was able to take down Uzi, so who's to say that Celestial can't bring some magic?
Yes. Well, no, magic's in the jungle.
You're just supposed to roll over that joke.
We're supposed to see how this game works out. Regardless, both junglers starting off with that red buff. Satai giving a leash up top. Magic on the Sedwani, happily starting off with his own red. That does mean Uzi and Ming will get that early bottom lane priority. And we know Uzi is one of the best lane... Sorry, I'm trying to be general here.
No,
the best laner
he is the best
in
laner.
the league.
We can't say he's the best ADC in the world yet, but we can say that he is the best laning ADC in the world. He's proven that.
Yes.
And it is, reminder, 8.6, so Xayah has seen a couple of her changes here. Again, this was a priority pick of Rakan, not Xayah for Mystic. And normally you would see it the other way around. So again, I feel this is Mystic looking at Uzi and testing him. Can you actually play this champion as well as I understand her?
And this always is the question between these two. Does Uzi actually see Mystic as a rival, considering the number of times that they meet and clash? Because if they both have that propensity to single-handedly carry games. We haven't seen a lot from it Mystic lately this split, but hey, it's playoffs time. 957 has got the playoffs buff. Maybe it's a proximity thing.
Unfortunately, in 2017, I actually thought that Mystic was the better ADC than than Uzi. He did get to prove that as they did meet multiple times in best of series, and he did get the cutting edge over him, but Mystic has been fairly inconsistent over the course of 2018 so far. If you haven't been keeping up to the LPL, he tends to die a lot.
He does. And as a result of that, WE are taking the lower seed. Now on the bottom of your screen, you can actually see that lower seeds have a pretty even chance to overcome the 0-1 deficit and advance in 3 out of the 8 last stacked series. We saw the lower seed advance.
Historically, normally these matches are pretty one-sided, heavily weighted, but that's because the LPL has had such a drastic drop-off between the top 4 teams and the middle of the pack. This split, however, the middle of the pack teams are so strong, and that's why we actually see RNG and WE sitting all the way down in round 1 as opposed to semis or quarters.
Magic now invading onto MLXG, who's able to secure his own camp, running Predator Gragas as he clears that out.
My issue here is that you had the opportunity to pick Sejuani and you went for the Gragas. Now, the other Gragas player that we've seen crop up in the LPL is Invictus Gaming's Ming, but it still felt like a very bizarre or out-of-place pick. And when Sejuani gets tempo on you to not only dominate the Scuttlecrab River, but also invade you, place vision, and shove you off of your objectives, I feel like you're going to have a bad time. Normally, you kind of pick one or the other. You want like the heavy dueling jungle so you can at least get tempo advantage over Sejuani, because otherwise, she's just going to bully you around, take everything that you want, and track you better.
It could perhaps be the litmus test for RNG, playing the MLXG Zatai style of playing as compared to the Karsa Let Me. Because again, they have a game advantage. They have a game to lose. That said, if they do lose the game, that becomes a momentum challenge. As, oh, MLXG with the big smite.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you want to do to Sejuani.
So often we talk about statements in the LPL, but MLXG, he just puts a period at the end of that. You invade me, I invade you. The big question is, though,
he failed.
Oh, yeah, he actually bumped into the Raptor there. How do the mid laners enable or disable this? Xie, in the last 2 sets that we saw, has taken a step to support Magic's invade on the other side. He was the one who set up the ward that allowed Magic to look for those Raptors. Now, it's Xiao who's setting up MLXG to push.
Exactly. You're getting your answer right now, Dom. It's the fact that Xie was low on mana, didn't get to see some of the early trades in the mid lane that could have indicated that, but Xiao, who had the mana, had the health advantage, and allowed MLXG to contest forward this Raptor camp. And I think he's going to make it out. Needs to be careful, though.
Yeah, we're actually seeing...
Here comes Cass. He overstayed.
Wow, what looks a little bit close to an all-in. That's the slow. Can't proc a stun quite yet as MLXG holds on to his flash and just walks it out. That means MLXG will happily take control of Scuttle, though.
And it's fine. He's going to lose the Scuttlecrab, and you can say that, yes, MLXG is just going to either recoup his health or make a back. He's actually forced to take his Wolf Camp because he doesn't want to make the back right now and then lose that entire side of the jungle to Sejuani. But that's kind of classic MLXG, you know, just stayed a little bit too long, wasn't quite punished for it, but could have been.
And the big scare with this sort of style from MLXG, that he was going to skirmish and invade on the opposing jungler, was that Magic wouldn't be able to compete. He is, after all, only 30 games into the LPL, but he meets MLXG head-to-head, doesn't turn around and run away as he might have just a few weeks ago. So already we're starting to see some growth in this statement game for WE.
It is fairly easy to tell where Magic is going to be, however. Yes, they have a Cassiopeia. Cass really thrives when she does, or when she is forward in that lane, aggressively using her spells, but then that exposes her to the ganks, which is why it's so important that they team up like this to lay down the safety vision.
And that is already working out for WE's favor. You can see Xie's stats in the mid lane. We lauded him earlier as the second best mid laner in the league. Well, there you go. His damage percent, damage taken, that's the famous Galio stat. And kill participation is incredibly high. Well, we don't have that first blood yet. We'll see if he bumps her up from third to second.
And it's not just in his individual mechanics that Xie is stepping up. He is becoming a primary shot caller for the team. We had an interview with Celestial a few weeks ago where they made this crazy play, and Clement got to ask him, you know, who made the call for that type of pick? Immediately, Xie made the call.
Yeah.
You can see him when he picks up heavy roam champions like the Galio, like the Ryze, like his Talia. You'll start seeing him cheating and trying to puppet master the rest of the map. So if Xie is there first, things tend to go well for Team WE. If you walk him down, if you keep him in this lane, I think you can exploit them because they don't have direction without Condi or Xie.
And that's where we see the veteran of Xie stepping up for his team, taking that captain role, as he and Mystic are the most played, or sorry, are the duo that have the most games in LPL history, overtaking Mako. That's a flash away from Ming as level 6 is picked up by Mystic. Already showing some aggression against Uzi and Ming.
Yeah, trying to abuse the mismatch level between 6 and 5. Unfortunately, Ali and Xayah don't have access to their ultimates to disengage from a type of CC lock like that.
And though we don't have a lot of action this early on into the game just yet, you can see how tense these two teams are. It's almost like a tightly wound string ready to break at the first sign of any gank or anything.
And we do expect these early games to be fairly measured or cautious. Neither of these teams are big team fighting teams. RNG, again, they like the 1-3-1. Team WE are more about the late game team fight.
Did MLXG just get in there?
Yeah, we may be treated to our very first skirmish.
Cash knocks him back in. He's pinned against the wall, but flashes to Magic. That's a quick save from Celestial.
At least forcing the flash off of the Varus means that it should be a very easy repeat gank. And the fact that they were able to do that without Alistar having flash. So we're starting to see why the Gragas pick was the go-to for MLXG and where the combos and the practice maneuvers are paying off for them. So that was a sick cask.
Yeah. Knocking Mystic into Ming, setting up, but still no items in that bottom lane. Haven't even seen the Doran's, or sorry, the health potions confused. Yeah, Doran's potions. Regular potions consumed. As it's just all about the minions, all about the CS. And as expected, even just in the standard laning phase, Uzi is starting to open up an advantage.
Yeah, his CS difference at 15, I believe, is 13.
Full minions, yeah.
And the next closest person to him is... Oh, no, 18. It's 18. The next closest person to him is 13, and the person beneath that is 9. So Uzi is a big difference, and he, across the board, elevates RNG stats. When you start to look at their team laning stats, they're head and shoulders above any other team in the LPL, and a lot of that is just based off of Uzi's power.
And by comparison, Mystic, he's 6th, or I believe 5th in the CSD at 15, at about 3 CS ahead. That's a grand total of 15 minions, which is 300 to 400 gold, depending on the waves and a cannon creep. Uzi gets a kill just by being that much better. Sorry, a kill's worth of gold.
And what's interesting is that Uzi has the highest gold share of any player in the LPL, which that makes sense. He's the best ADC. But a lot of people would read that stat and say that that's RNG funneling all of the resources into Uzi, and that's not necessarily true. What we're saying is that Uzi also just a great job of building his own gold lead. You know, pulls himself up from his bootstraps, makes his own fortune, and then his team gives him everything.
Yeah. And it is because of that Uzi is lauded as the best AD carry in the league. Perhaps one of the best, or well, definitely one of the best, but perhaps the best in the world, as he is able to so often open up that advantage
You're really
for his team.
skirting that line.
Yeah, well, look, I want to call him the best in the world because he's the best in our league, and I think the LPL is the best in the world.
I follow the logic. Here we go, round 2, no flash on Varus.
Let's see, Ming has got his cask ready, holding on to the flash body slam, but MLXG doesn't find the opening he needs. Take a look at where Magic is, though. He's actually skirting around the opposite side, perhaps looking at Xiaohu. The shockwave did just come up, and yeah, Xie and Magic are down here.
Easily spotted out, however. It feels that both teams, WE and RNG, have a read about where either jungler is, and they should just be able to shove this in and make their backs. Come on, Celestial, come home.
No, he's just going to stay in lane. In the top lane, though, 957 happily pushing into Zatai.
At this point in the game, though, I know that there's been a lot of attention and focus on the bottom lane. That's the very clear play from RNG, what they want to punish. In fact, so much so that Ming is going all the way around, probably to check for vision, clear things out, try to open up that pathway. Just hold on, I'll shelf this thought. Uh-oh.
Throwing out a ward.
The
Celestial's
bait is
already
real.
Pulling back, yeah. Look at how close MLXG is playing to this side. Even Xiaohu was on his way down.
But this is the clear play from RNG, but Team WE from blue side, they have much better gank angles in on the mid lane, and they still have a Sejuani and a Rakan. So I feel like WE, if they want to force Xie unlocked from this lane because he is the Cassiopeia, instead of drawing attention bottom and meeting RNG here, they do have the option that they can actually look mid, unlock that unlock the Rakan because Varus can just sit back safely, especially if the wave is crashing into him, and throw Sej and Rakan mid lane.
But look at where the vision for WE has just been placed. Magic, oh, missed that one. As MLXG will take that with Runic Echoes. Oh boy, Celestial, you're getting close there. That's the knock-up. 1, 2, 3 feathers, but no snare. Allows Celestial to walk up and start contesting this vision. Magic is still on this bottom side, but there is a lot of aggressive vision from WE on that top half of the map. The Pixel Brush, and Magic is going to spot out MLXG and start the Dragon.
This is actually a good read from WE, understanding that MLXG's red buff has spawned, so he's going to be on the top side of the map. They now have vision that Xiaohu has gone back, and so they're very quickly going to grab an Ocean Drake. Of course, Ocean is so important for a lane phase, and I feel like we're going to have a very extended lane phase. Already 12 minutes and Tower hasn't gone down.
I mean, you even just saw the Gathering Storm on Zatai in the top lane on that Swain. Everybody is playing for the late game right here. As Dragon is picked up, Magic looks to steal away the blue and pass it over to Xie.
And still having good information and read about where MLXG was. You can see that his red buff is warded. They know that he's not going to be here for about 30 seconds. Opens up the possibility to make a play bottom, although with Alistar and Xayah, very scared to do so.
Still, though, the laning phase continues. 13 minutes in, 300 gold advantage for WE as just about every single lane is going even. But take a look at this. Magic, he's been spotted by a ward. There are pings on top of him.
And RNG, they initially didn't know where Magic was. Yes, they spotted him out with the pings, but MLXG was pulled down bottom, and backs were almost canceled. Hold on.
Oh, Celestial dodges away to Mystic using that grand entrance, but that is the cask now used from MLXG. And RNG, choosing the teamfight composition, find themselves slowly but surely losing inches to WE.
Could have had a Sejuani. Could have made that exact same play.
Yep. But we don't see that. Instead, it is the teamfight composition from RNG. Again, they do have one game advantage over Team WE. And while you do want to win early and go home, what better way than to scrim on stage against one of the best teams in the world?
I just feel like if you get a free coupon, you don't waste it on... I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where Gragas is
freebie
going to fit in the analogy.
But back onto the map.
Oatmeal raisin cookie. If you have
Oatmeal
if you have a free coupon for cookies, you
Some
get the chocolate
people like
chip.
oatmeal raisin, all right?
I actually really like it.
Yeah. Some people aren't fans of chocolate. It's uncommon. But it is entirely true. Magic's now still on this bottom half of the map.
So we can talk about this now. 8.6, you can see that Varus has completed the Rage Blade. That's fairly standard. This is the big adjustment patch for the Rage Blade. Its damage is absurd, especially when you start having extra amplifiers of magic on hit procs. Now I'm curious what the end of the Varus build will be. I was checking out Loken solo queue, although I'm gonna have to shelf it again because this is round 6 of this gank attempt.
I know. MLXG really wants to make something happen down here.
But the end of the Varus builds, I'm very curious. Loken was playing a pretty standard Varus. He had the Rage Blade, he went for the 80 and then the Hurricane, whereas other Varus builds have been experimenting with the Void Staff, with the Death Cap, with stacking magic
AP,
damage
yeah.
and grabbing that Gnasher's Tooth as well. So definitely want to keep our eyes peeled on that. Is action? Nope, no action.
The helicopter parent hovering once again. Xiaohu, he's got vision on this side of the map.
cleanse.
He doesn't see Celestial over there as well. And yeah, you did mention the cleanse. Sped up, he walks away from Magic, who is finally spotted. That frost armor broken by the command dissonance.
Just a lot of looking at each other this game.
It really is. And Magic, this seems to be a very slow, intelligent game from WE. They're playing around the vision of RNG. You can see the wards that RNG have placed to try to spot this out, but constantly sweeping in, clearing out what they can. We're also seeing Celestial and Magic work together more so than Xie and Magic from earlier in the split as they're controlling vision on this bottom half.
And the scary thing is that this isn't RNG's usual MO. They are much closer to Invictus Gaming in that it's a win lane, win game type of style, known for their 1-3-1, known for their ability to close out early games. They had one of the fastest average game times in the LPL. Team WE, if you go over 40 minutes, they have a 70% chance of winning that game.
That's a scary statistic. You do not want to take it late. It's only 24 minutes away from that, Frosk.
I guess the mentality could be as a coach perspective, if you take a team fight composition and you beat a team at what they're good at, then you mentally get inside their head. You can shake them and say, you can't even play your style against us. We gave you the champions that you like and you failed.
That said, they actually have to win though. Magic on the invade. This is a bit risky. MLXG sitting in the tri-bush. That's a knock-up. Again, the frost armor broken. Magic turns for the engage. Ming blocking these hits as Uzi just sits back in that brush. Xie getting pulled down faster than Xiaohu means RNG can't turn what could have been a pick into a kill.
Still reading around this bot lane, though, as it looks like we're actually going to try to force this. Reinforcements
down here,
and mid laners.
Over the wall, that's the knock-up. Target is going to be Celestial. He drops the quickness, goes in, dashes over the wall, but stopwatch the engage. MLXG retreats. Magic in the front, and still Mystic is free-firing. Uzi finally steps forward to match up. His teleport is completed from both top laner. Flash from 957, and over the wall he goes.
Both teleports, and everyone walks away with their lives. Not even a ton of flashes expended there. I believe it was just MLXG's.
And 957 in order to escape the never move.
As the cute little Gnar was standing behind everyone about to go into Mega, he's like,
can we take this? Can
really
we do it?
Feel like
oh,
this
and look
one.
at where Xie. Oh, man, just another snake in the grass. MLXG, he thinks something's wrong. He knows something's wrong. Waits out the barrel cooldown. And Xie will back away.
And that is a perfect example of how this entire game has gone for the first 18 minutes. It's just everyone knows what everyone is doing, and they're just making eyes at each other.
The new age rivalry of the LPL, WE and RNG, taking game one slowly and seriously. No cheese, no surprises, and just playing out that calm, intelligent macro team fight game. And that is actually working out for WE's favor. They're slowly increasing their gold lead up to 700 now. We're seeing the advantage for 957 in the top lane, slight CS advantage for Xie in the mid lane, pretty moderate advantage for Magic in the jungle, and Mystic is going even with Uzi. It's not the 15 CS differential we predicted.
But it also hasn't been an isolated 2v2. That has been a 3v3 this entire game over the repeat ganks. And yes, RNG have been ganking more often, but Sejuani has definitely had full control or more control over the bottom side of that river, giving Mystic the safety that he can trade effectively with the Varus.
You know, it's funny, we call Magic the helicopter parent for Xie because he hovered around the mid lane so much during the regular season, but MLXG is hanging around that bottom half of the map.
36% of Magic's ganks go to the mid lane. He is absolutely a helicopter parent, but like you said, kind of changing things up.
MLXG still hanging on this bottom side, communicating pretty effectively with Ming to control vision, look for these engages, waiting for WE to overstep themselves, and this could be it. Ming, headbutt pulverize, he's found Celestial, Mystic walks it back under the turret, he's stunned. MLXG, he's got the cast, but a flash gets him to safety. Xiaohu doesn't get there in time. And this is the first proactive roam we've seen from Xiaohu.
Second flash burn for Varus. See if they're able to punish it this time around. It's also a repeat Ocean Dragon, and RNG, if they really want to try to force something out of this, could maybe look to collapse. With so many key ultimates still being up, I don't think it's likely.
Xie is actually heading up towards the top half. Zatai, low health. He's got his flash. Blast cone over the walls. Zatai pops into the demonic ascension. The minion wave has been cleared up, but Xie still steps forward. This could be first blood. 957 tanking, and Xie gets it passed over. Magic, meanwhile, overextends on the other side, but backs off.
And at 20 minutes in the game, on Xie's Cassiopeia of all things, we finally get a first blood. And it also showcases why Xie is so important. Even on a non-roam champion, the team still demands that he is the guy that is making the proactive plays and getting it done.
And you just saw those stats on the top of your screen. When WE get that first blood, which they do in 2/3 of their games, their win rate goes up by a whopping 15%. Magic hops over the wall a little bit late there. He's still got the Glacial Storm. Who's he going to target? Ming, but doesn't get the range. And that's just a flash from the Alistar to walk it off.
So recognizing that Ming didn't have his ultimate available, so he wouldn't be able to just pop out of the hard CC, unfortunately, Ali just gets to walk away.
Just outside of the range. And now Magic and Xie going to push up a bit in the mid lane. They know there's no flash from MLXG. They're going to push not one, but two lanes at the same time as 957 looks to take it down. Solo, first brick in the top lane.
And unfortunately, we haven't gotten a lot of time to look up into the top lane. I feel like this has really been one of those games where the top laners show up and you're like, wow, I have a Gnar?
Yeah.
There's a Swain in this game? And while there hasn't been a lot of blood action happening up there, aside from the first blood, the fact that 957 has a pretty sustainable CS lead, Gnar is considered one of the decent matchups into Swain, and just takes the tower for free, and no one came to help him. You know, we were talking before, Dom, that if you put in MLXG, this could be attention and focus for Zatai up on the top side, but he's been completely left on an island.
And I just want to point out what WE just did here on the way out of base. They didn't go into lane. They went to the Baron to check for vision to see if RNG were there. Again, this is a Cassiopeia Varus with Gwynsu's and Wit's End.
Oh, they know.
If there was an award there,
they're going to shred it.
That would have been terrifying. RNG were completely unprepared on the other side of the map. Ming is only just now getting to the Baron.
But it is very dangerous to take a fight around the Baron, which is why the vision control is so important against RNG's composition. That is an Orianna, Alistar, Gragas, Swain. Anywhere that you're clumping up like that, especially in the jungle or especially in the river, can be so punishing. So if Team WE want to try to pull the trigger on this, which it's fairly obvious, we see LPL teams itemized to do this all the time, they need to make sure that they are going to hit.
And this is where we look to 957. You mentioned his performance just a moment ago. If he can get a good flank and prevent RNG from finding the clump of the 4-man, from utilizing that 1-4 effectively, then WE could be in a much better situation. And that's exactly what we see right now. 957 on the bottom half of the map. 4 members from WE hanging out in the mid lane, looking for a vulnerability, looking for an opening. They don't find it, but they're still going to keep hunting.
So the mentality from Team WE at this point is you look at Varus' items, and even though Rageblade has been adjusted so it scales a bit better, it's still a ridiculous spike, and that's why they want to fight.
MLXG is the target. He's on Miasma, but Ming goes in. A Shockwave pulls Celestial back, and he gets dunked down. The first kill for RNG.
And this is what I suspected about the Gragas pick, is that its ability to reset team fights or to isolate very immobile champions. If you have a Varus, a Cassiopeia, even a Rakan who's going to use his initial dive in and out, you can very quickly make snatches and grabs like that.
Zeke's convergence now finished off for Celestial should provide just a little bit more opportunity to get in and out in these next stages.
Absurdly so. Think about, again, we have all of these ADCs that are running around that can itemize into Nashor's, Guinsoo's, and then if you have a Zeke's on top of that, your magic damage shred is incredible. So we take another look. Again, Team WE, they want to fight because they recognize how potent and powerful Mystic is right now, but it's just a better mechanical play from RNG. The fact that the flash is pretty much means nothing because of a well-placed shockwave.
And that said, we now see Magic and Celestial in their first ever playoff game getting to play a slow and measured style, getting acclimated to the pressure of the stage, especially against RNG. And their veteran players of 957, Xie, and Mystic are doing well in each of their lanes. That sort of emotional boost has got to be building up these young players so much, which could provide a lot of momentum for WE in this series. If we end up going 1-1, even overall, just down to a best of 3, this could be an explosive best of 5.
And it's the X factor. You know,
Yeah.
957 is not necessarily running away with the game, but he did get a lot of solo gold by taking first brick by himself. And now, bottom, eating up all of this experience, getting up all these free CS, and he is on the big Meganar pick, but he's also itemized that he can continue to try to punish that Swain in an elongated lane.
And look at how Xiaohu had to itemize to try to cope with that. Void Staff second for the penetration so that he makes sure if there is a fight that WE are currently looking for, I will be able to do damage to the front line. I may not be able to 100-0 the back line, but it's not about those quick bursts, those quick hits. Still 25 minutes in, 957 just going to keep absorbing wave after wave, as it's a full, nearly a full item advantage for Xie. Needlessly large rod now picked up for Xiaohu as he makes his way back out. And while it is one Ocean Dragon between the two, the third Ocean Dragon is going to spawn in 70 seconds. So still, the laning phase drags on.
It's not about the monster objective timers. I mean, yes, the Baron is still very important, but again, it's more about the windows around these 80 carries. This was not a match about RNG versus WE. This is a match about Mystic and Uzi.
Yeah.
These guys have some bad blood between them. One of them has been the best ADC. One of them has now taken that crown away from him. And this is just, you know, putting it to bed. Who's really better?
I mean, we're going to find out at the end of this series, won't we? That's the dream. That's the hope. But I am just so surprised to see RNG play this different style when Uzi has been having one of the best splits of his life, and they take a different style that is not completely Uzi-centric during the laning phase, during the early game. It's more about macro. It's more about intelligent maneuvering around the map. RNG, perhaps this is them looking forward, looking beyond WE, looking at the next opponents in the bracket, Snake and Invictus Gaming, and saying, hey, we might not just be able to brute force our way through Snake or Invictus Gaming if we take this series here.
It's also giving responsibility to other members on the team.
Yeah.
Ming, it's his signature Alistair pick that he was able to grab access to. That is kind of the core of the composition, because he's going to go in first and he's going to be followed directly by Xiaohu. And you can already see those two kind of blitzing in and leading the charge like, get out of this river. There's no way that you can step forward and contest this vision. But yeah, Uzi's the guy. He's the carry, the leader. But this should all be about me.
That's exactly who's been caught there, as he uses that big shockwave onto 3 in the cast to separate them, but there's no damage, there's no follow-up.
Just for added measure, just throw the cask in.
Yeah. Get them stacked up so I can split them back apart.
It does mean that RNG are missing 3 key ultimates, so again, now Power Dynamic will swing back to Team WE, and they should use this advantage to force into that river and clear it out, because RNG can't contest, which is why they want to try to force the waves, and they want to say, if you're going to go clear out the vision, you will lose something, whether that's EXP or gold.
Just like Malphite, you will lose. 957 is actually starting off the Baron here. They know that the cooldowns are still burned. WE going to try to burn through it. All 5 members have grouped up. Celestial is stacking up just on the bottom, but here comes Xiaohu as he steps forward. Baron's at half health. The collapse from RNG. They're coming in from 2 directions.
And look at the shockwave cooldown. It is just about to come up. This is a very risky play from Team WE. Even just looking at a possible 50-50, and RNG just sat back and they said, we don't even need to expend our teleport. Swain just casually walked from the bottom side of the map towards the Barren River.
We talked a bit about the shred of the Cassiopeia Varus. Well, they perhaps need a bit more itemization to make sure that shred happens that much faster. as Zatai heads back down into the bottom lane to catch the wave, prep by 957. 28 minutes, and still the stakes are rising.
And like I was saying, is that this match was about the cooldowns in the windows around 80 carry itemization. So Xayah deciding 2.5 items to go for a defensive, having the QSS available, as opposed to completing her secondary Zeal item, is going to be kind of the bump or the hiccup in the road. But if anyone's going to have the extra gold laying around to quickly grab a defensive item, probably going to be Uzi.
Yeah, of all people. Not able to get a huge CS lead over Mystic in this game, but still having a strong performance, though we haven't seen him really been able to do too much so far because there has been so little actual action in terms of kills.
And excuse me, his Infinity Edge.
Ah, yes. IE now picked up, but that said, take a look at Mystic's build on the other side. Mystic might be a level down, but he's already finished off that Blade of the Ruined King. The low-cost Wit's End and the reduced cost of the Guinsus now means that WE have a bit of a power spike for that Varus.
And still, a ton of now sustain built into his build, and a lot of threat over this Baron is still kind of Team WE's primary win condition.
Oh, but that's MLXG stepping forward. Uzi might be there to catch him. The cask and the flash is ready. Mystic just holds on. Turns around and walks away when under the gaze of a 500-strong audience.
Not even trying to force the flash off of Varus.
And still they maneuver around the map, trying to open up advantages, trying to keep pace over their opponent. 957 has gotten himself behind Xiaohu. Randuin's for the slow. Shockwave dodged by Xie, but Xiaohu flashes in. It's an engage from two sides, and while Varus isn't there, it's still the advantage going to WE so far. Ming with the headbutt is able to get back under his turret. But 957 is Mega. Is he thinking of the dive? Ming steps a bit too far. Piercing arrow from Mystic pierces Ming's heart. And that's also the mid-tier 1 going down.
That's an absolute disaster. The reason...
Oh, the flash engage onto Zatai. He's got his own flash, but he's not even going to get the chance to use it.
Zatai didn't even know what hit him. He caught me off guard with that. Never mind much the top laner. That's now key members down for RNG. Yes, they still have the smite. They no longer have a blast cone. I think Team WE are going to pull the trigger on Baron.
Yeah, they're grouped up into the pit. 957 ready to zone or hop in at a moment's notice. MLXG has no vision. He's trying to take the long way around, but that's the shred we were talking about.
He doesn't even just have vision. He doesn't have Uzi. Uzi has just completely said, this is not a situation that we can contest anymore. I don't have the itemization. We don't have members. We don't have position. I'm going to take Ocean.
And this game, now the Baron has just been picked up by WE, seems so antithetical to the LPL in general. 957 starts it off.
And Xiaohu's going to catch a lot of flack for this, even though Xie played that perfectly. But we don't know. Was that Xiaohu not hearing a call or disregarding a call about where 957 was? Or was that Zatai not communicating cross-map that Gnar was going to have the flank there? Because obviously caught off guard, and it wasn't just Xiaohu being caught off guard. This then quick snatch and grab of Swain, like that's the real difference maker. If Swain was still alive, they maybe would have had enough to force them off the Baron, but with Swain also dying, that was the nail in the coffin.
And now WE with the Baron buff for 3 minutes. They've still got teleport on 957. They've got the opportunity to play that 1-4 composition. Rabadon's finished by both mid laners, as Runon's is now finished off by Mystic. Slowly this gold lead is starting to balloon. And as I was saying, Indiana, this play style from these two teams doesn't look like the LPL. If you turned off the tags and the titles, it almost feels like an LCK game.
I wouldn't go that far, but I can understand what you're saying. It is a bit of a different pace for us. But I will say it's much closer and aligned with Team WE, and that's the primary problem that I see with this game.
Yes.
We came in, the desk said it, I'm aligned with the desk. I feel like this is much more a weighted series towards RNG, not just in the scoreline, but in just how these two teams have been performing. RNG came in game number 1, and they decided to try to play WE style, and WE showcasing why they still made it to playoffs without Condi and Bin. They are still terrifyingly good at this style.
Taking it slow, playing the team fights, looking for openings to strike and strike fast.
And playing front to back. It was technically a flank that caught them those picks, but this composition, their itemization, it's pretty clear. They just want to group everyone, put their tank line in front of them, set the line of scrimmage, and then just slowly roll over RNG like a tank.
That's exactly what we see. MLXG is trying to be the bastion that stops the bulldozer of Team WE, but he can only do so much with that one cask, though he is on the side of Team WE now. Xie steps up, and that's the miasma. Now they finally spot the Gragas, and the push begins proper for WE. Mystic starts firing across on the turret, and Uzi is forced to back away. This is now the second tier 2 to go down for Team RNG.
And they've got their waves actually set up in either side lane so they can quickly rotate and continue this siege. It makes most sense to go top, of course, because the last standing outer is probably the easiest objective to get behind and contest.
Recall means items first, turrets second. Xie gets blue buff as he's now pinging up towards that top wave, and RNG have to know this is coming. How on earth can they defend against this?
It's going to be about that wombo combo. We talked about it earlier, and we're going to say it repeatedly because that's really the core of their composition. All eyes are on Ming and Xiaohu and how they can land that pivotal shockwave. Check out Xiaohu's itemization. If it hits, it's going to hurt.
4 full items for Xie to the 3 of Xiaohu, and while he will do damage, will he be able to match that of the Cassiopeia? Might only be a 23 CS advantage, but that neutral gold from WE is just pushing WE up.
But I want to expand on my statement, because it's not just about hitting anyone. He has to hit that backline. We have Adaptive Helm, Abyssal Mask already built up on the Cassiopeia as well as the Gnar. So again, it's not just the zone control, it's hitting that immobile Varus.
Ooh, Cask and the never move, but Xie, even without a flash, get blocked against the wall. MLXG looking very hopeful with that and not finding anything. Zatai is able to step forward and zone WE back until the Baron wears off, but this is still a 1-4 split for WE. 957 is working in the mid lane.
And it's going to continue to be because 957 has Mega Gnar involved right now, so unfortunately, he can't immediately look for a team fight up into the top side. Should be a couple more waves while he tries to stack that back up if they want to look for a possible dive.
Now it's Magic's turn to sweep out Vision and look for a pick of his own as that Cask is about halfway to the cooldown. The siege continues, just keeping RNG stacked in this turret and denying the ability for Uzi to start getting that massive gold. Just forcing RNG to split that gold between both Uzi, Xiaohu, and Zatai all in the same lane. Finally, the swap has been called. Zatai shows up bottom, and immediately 957 just groups up with his team.
Because that's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for 957 to have the Mega Gnar back available. So you can see his rage bar. That's the go button. This is why we've been sitting up here being patient. The fact that the Baron has worn off and Team W are still here tells me that they really do want to force this team fight.
And 957, he's actually spotting out Ming just by that red buff, making sure that he knows there's not going to be any Alistar Hex flashes or flash engages from behind. Ticks over to Mega doing the Raptor camp.
They just need to go home. There's no reason to continue to extend forward. In fact, the Gragas Cask is back up, so now the option is that RNG can just reverse this and look for a counter engage. Elder Dragon is spawning in 1 minute. Team WE, you don't have Baron buff. You don't have your Mega Gnar. Your waves are, yes, crashing, but you need to actually back and start setting up for that Elder.
And it's not just one wave, it's all 3 waves crashing in at the same time. 957 escorts mid. The large minion wave bottom is caught by Zatai. Here's the window. Here's the timing, but Magic is by the red buff with Celestial. Those are the big engage members. And yes, you've swept out the vision. You know that the area is clear, but the window is there, and you missed it. Still, RNG defend their turret. It's been chipped down to about half.
This has been a 4-minute siege.
It has. This is what sieges are supposed to be. You bring the whole army, you set up the supply line, deny the resources of RNG. And while it hasn't been able to yield too many results for WE, it seems like they've finally given up to complete that recall. QSS picked up for Mystic on his way back. Warmogs and Locket finished for Magic.
And now the play comes back. So we're setting up for the Elder. Team WE do have tempo advantage into reaching it. So now it's a very precarious situation for RNG. They have to walk into small choke points, into dark vision. Luckily, they do have a single control ward that's been sitting on the Dragon Pit for God knows how long.
Providing quite a bit of value for RNG. Ming is able to sneak down behind them. That tier 1 is still there. There are pings now onto the front of the pit. Ming is still holding on.
That's the X factor. Ming, don't be patient.
They're all stacked up. They're all stacked up. Xiaohu is there. The flash from Mystic. He gets out. The target is Magic, but that means Flash is still ready. Glacial Storm forces Xiaohu away, and Ming goes low and dies. The support traded and knocked in. 957 teleports to chase Xiaohu out of the fight as Magic tanking in the front. Zatai goes golden in the Ascension, but it's not enough. Mystic is low, but he's still alive. Uzi has still been free firing. Finally, he's caught up to by Xie, taking damage in the poison. The chase and the double kill. Xie has slain the Mad Dog, but has he put him to bed? It's 7-1 WE.
And that was the one X factor that RNG had. Managing to get Ming behind enemy lines to try to set up an engagement like there, finds the wrong target, hits the Sejuani, nothing comes of it, a complete whitewash of a team fight, and a free Elder. That's now both epic monster objectives to Team WE.
And we call WE the Elder Dragon team for a good reason. Their team fights in that specific area of the map when the Elder Dragon spawns around the 35 minutes are so terrifying. They're turning onto the Baron, and MLXG, he's got a smite but no flash. And with Xie stepping up at level 18, there's no chance MLXG can contest this. But he might be trying to prove me wrong, as 957 is even body blocking there.
All the way over with the blast cone.
Yeah.
MLXG
send him all the way home.
Exactly, all the way back to his inner turret top side. So free Baron, free Elder, and another free Siege from Team WE. Probably going to last another 7 minutes.
Yeah, just keep on playing it out. Ming from behind, but missed it.
Flashing the W animation right there to get on the other side. Couldn't find the right target. I feel like Ming should have been a bit more patient there, waiting until at least Xiaohu was closer to try to punish something, but they get a little bit antsy, they pull the trigger a little bit too quickly, and they lose their key engage options. And again, if you're trying to fight this composition from Team WE front to back, you've already lost.
And that was Uzi trying to step up, do the damage that his team needed him to do. 430 CS, 3.5, nearly 4 items if you consider the 2 half items. But you cannot step up against the miasma that Xie locks down in both his engage and escape path. And like you said, that Baron is ticking away for a good 2.5 minutes. The tier 2 is still standing up top. How do WE set up their waves to break the base this time?
And how do RNG set up a comeback? And it's to set up a death brush. They understand that their win condition is solely on hitting these key ultimates on key members of Team WE and immediately deleting someone before the team fight. So while yes, Team WE have had control for 99% of this game, if they continue to stall out late enough, and there is an abundance of wave clear between Xayah and Orianna, as well as Swain on RNG's comp, if it just goes to a coin flip 50-50, RNG could theoretically still win the game.
Ah, yes. The old IMA strategy. Against Team WE.
It's a favorite.
Yes. It's a bold move, Cotton. A bold strategy, to say the least. We'll see how it plays out, though. As again, the next wave is retrieved. Bottom lane is pushing for Team WE, slowly stacking up. That'll hit in about 30 seconds to a minute. And eventually someone's going to have to deal with that. Ming, he's behind them again, though. But the Siege still just battering down on this inhibitor turret. WE taking it nice and slow. That's the quickness, never mind. He steps forward, the cask is going to get Magic and Mystic forward. The turret's finally broken. Ming is in the back, but Celestial is already engaged in the front. Never move on to Mystic. He's low, but Locket keeps him healthy. 957 hops over the wall, and still WE don't overextend. Their playoff lives are on the line in this series. They want to close it out cleanly.
And no one would have expected this type of front to come from Team WE. Yes, we know that 957 is known for his playoff buff, but Mystic has been very inconsistent in Magic and Celestial. This is their first time on such a large stage. So not showing a ton of nerves here, standing in line, and maybe just speaks to the strength of Team WE's spine of having those core 3 members together.
And we heard on the desk the will WE take a late game team fight? Well, if RNG just give it to them, it turns out that yes, they will.
Even at this point, they don't even need to fight. Like you said, they're just playing it very clean. They came for the objective, they got the objective, and they disengage. And there's not a lot of options on RNG's composition to force them to fight, which is why, again, Ming is so important. When he's looking for these flanking plays, as you could see, he's slipped up onto that top brush, and he doesn't find them. That's all they have, because they have a Gragas.
Ooh, that's a shockwave. Mystic in the wrong position has been knocked forward, but he's still alive and firing across. Xie body blocking for his AD carry as 957 on the side zones Uzi from entering.
Tried to find the Varus, immediately reset his position, couldn't break him, and now they are fighting 1 team member down and a lot of key ultimates missing. This should just be the inhib. If RNG choose to plant their feet and fight there, they die and lose the game.
And Mystic didn't flash or heal. He just held on to his summoners during that engage. That means with 1 man down, WE not only take the inhib, but also set up for the next. They are controlling the map, pushing minion waves mid with those supers, controlling waves on both bottom and top. And the next Elder Dragon is the one that's going to last for 5 full minutes. It's going to be spawning soon, and if WE continue to just take their time with this, RNG, yes, they might have a strong late game, but they cannot compete with those neutral objectives.
And reminder, majority of the time when WE and RNG face each other, it does go to full 5 games. There's only been 1 instance that it was a 3-0, and that was when Team WE lifted the LPL Champions Cup.
Might get a chance to see something similar here as WE try to 3-0 RNG in this series. They have to start with this game one, just playing it nice and slow, taking every single objective. And we are nearly at 6 items for that Cassiopeia. Teleport to get Celestial back in. 957 is building up to Mega.
Unsealed Spellbook.
And the waves just keep on crashing. This siege is even more dangerous because the turret top is a tier 2. That's going to break so much easier than that inhibitor.
Still dealing with abundance of wave clear, however, so it's not super punishing for Ori to A, use her mobility, quickly cruise over to the mid lane.
Yeah, but we've seen the strategy once. Our WE just set up the slow siege, take their time, lock RNG into their base, starve them out, wait for the neutral objectives to spawn, then go and take them.
Still very dangerous to do against RNG. Probably the best team at making their waves all crash together. So this is a very practiced Team WE 5v5 style, but this is Team WE playing or closing out a game in a very practiced RNG style. Both these players and these teams go way back. They face each other 5 times now over the course of 4 splits.
And again, this is the 4th time that they've met in playoffs. WE just bringing wave after wave. Super minions now pushing in mid lane, getting closer and closer to the Nexus turrets. MLXG is forced to pull back, and already the OMW ping from Celestial on my way. He's still got that Zeke's convergence, holding on to the quickness, grand entrance, and flash. They now see Zatai on the other side.
And no one engages. And 957 had access to Meganar, so seeing that Swain was topside, losing that surprise, there they go.
That's the engage. Ming with the knockback, but Shockwave from Xiao, who misses as he's Glacial Storm. Celestial backing away, Magic tanking in the front. Ming is low, and still no one has died. 957 drops into Mini. And the fight disengages. Whew, I'm holding my breath.
This has been one of the weirdest LPL games I think I've ever seen. We are normally a very fast, very bloody region. I cannot believe that Team WE has bent RNG to their will, and that Uzi is possibly starting out his series. Like, you have to think of the momentum. That 0-1, RNG were gifted that point. They ride the momentum of a very consistent, a very dominant, regular split to have this advantage, and it looks like Team WE are on the cusp of evening that up. And then you have to think about that little voice in Uzi's head. Am I being undone again?
The not-so-little voice at this point. The uncrowned king of WE. The crownless king himself. Elder Dragon is up in 10 seconds, but Baron has already spawned. Those 2 neutral objectives happen to sync up. And as a result, RNG, aware of this, find themselves now pushing in the mid lane. Zatai hits the never move onto 2. And Visions of Empire lets him see his targets. But Elder Dragon seems to be on the docket for MLXG. He's sitting just outside of this vision. Come on, WE. Take the bait.
There's no reason for them to go over there. They would much rather have the Baron than the Elder. And it looks like we will have a trade for both epic monsters.
And to follow up on what you said, Indiana, this is WE bending RNG to their will, but also it's RNG bending after an incredibly dominant second half of the split with Uzi's return after the New Year. This is them playing a completely different style and looking like they can't keep up with WE.
At this late in the game, I guess we're just taking a look at a replay about a disengage, is what this felt like. Hard engage into disengage, into everyone blows their cooldowns, and then we all just calmly walk away from each other.
But again, RNG actually bending to the will of WE is a bit scary.
Right. So at this, sorry.
Lost train of thought.
I was like, I guess we're going to show this replay. I'm all aboard for it. The fact that this late in the game, RNG's comms are just going to be stalled out. Wait, look for the team fight. They understand what their win conditions are, so while it does look that RNG are just being bled out by Team WE, the circumstance is if they want to win the game, this is exactly what they have to do, and you can see that they're very calm and measured about it. Team WE have now been gifted 2 Barons and an Elder and unable to close, and RNG are still proactively hunting, looking for those flanks. So I don't want the viewers to be looking at this 47-minute game and be like, Team WE got this in the bag, because RNG are still very controlled about understanding exactly where and when they need to make that punch.
So perhaps not bending, but like the Willow, flexible, allowing themselves to match WE here. And remember, that tier 1 is paper thin. It's just an emotional defense at this point, this late in the game. Ming can happily dive that.
Drawing it out, looking for the pick. So for RNG, MLXG and Ming need to find a valuable target. Either Xie needs to be knocked out of position or Mystic needs to be knocked out of position. If they survive the initial burst of the Wombo combo, Team W will just walk through RNG with the overtime sustained damage from Varus and Cassiopeia.
And as we approach the 50-minute mark, still no massive fights outside of the one at Elder Dragon and the one prior just before it, which WE have already shown they're both successful with. 6 items picked up on most members of these teams. Even the supports are getting close to it.
That's how you know it's a bad time. When the supports are running around at 6 items, you're like, I need to sell an item so I can have space for control boards.
Ming is still sitting on 3 minion dematerializers on the off chance that WE decide to look for the bannered cannon minion.
Ming has been splinter selling his way into this backline.
The shockwave, Celestial, way out of position with magic. The 2 newcomers from WE die. Mystic flashes back. Now it's the 3 veterans single-handedly taking on RNG. But Mystic gets pulled in, and he cannot stand his ground. He's actually healing. Mystic is still alive, finally dies, as he will trade his life for Uzi's, though, and Xie and 957 zone RNG back.
Uzi dies with his flash up, was not expecting Mystic to be able to sit there, plant his feet, and be that tanky, really. Between the Wits In, between the Blade of the Rune King, that was ridiculous damage.
And that's the rookies making the mistake for WE, getting caught out of position. And that will definitely slow the momentum for Team WE just a bit.
But you can already see how much of a knife's edge this game still is. You step out of position for a split second, and RNG can punish you this late in the game. We are literally going to have a game where it's going to come to a 50-50 team fight, and one team is just going to run it down mid lane.
Oh, wow. 957 gets the stun onto Uzi, which gives Mystic enough time to free fire and finish him off while being killed. Twice
that 957 has made hero miracle plays. We're just going to combine the word.
Miracle, yeah. Hercules.
On the Gnar. He had it the last series that he managed to get that champion, finding a quick turnaround when Celestial decided to hand deliver Mystic into the enemy team backline as Tom Kinch, and then finds it there again to punish Uzi. Not able to find his flash. CC locked against the wall.
And look at these Gathering Storm stats. 120 AP, 72 AD. And
we don't normally reach this late game in the LPL. So think of how long that graphic has just been sitting in the back room. Like,
somebody prepared this week 1 of the LPL.
We're going to be able to talk about Gathering Storm, just all of the bonuses it's going to give you. And then every game ends at 33 minutes, and now we're looking at 51 minutes on the clock.
And all of these teams are grouped up still. Elder Dragon going to be spawning a little bit later than the Baron this time, as those neutrals won't be synced quite yet.
We've got the new item.
Shirelius is back.
It's back. So obviously it's a go item. Alistar, that's what he's been trying to do all game. Again, attempting another flank, has the Reverie now, so he can get into that back line. It's plus 40% movement speed.
Now, the longest game in the LPL Spring Split was 67 minutes and about 54 seconds. That was Suning versus Snake in Chongqing. So only about 18 minutes away, Frost.
We're going the distance?
We just might be.
But why this actually matters is player mentality. And because Uzi is on the field, yes, he is such a veteran, but in recently sitting down and speaking with Uzi, the interview, of course, aired before this game, he is aware that his emotions do cloud him. He, to this day, still gets that haze, that tilt. And his #1 problem that he needs to overcome from Uzi's words are those emotions. So if you have a 67-minute game and you lose, when you had an advantage into a series, you can disrupt Uzi.
But will that be WE's plan in this? Or will RNG actually be able to ride that knife's edge and pull WE back over towards their side of things? This is just a constant tug of war in the mid lane. Baron is up in 1 minute. Elder Dragon shortly thereafter. Both of the teams had the prior Elder, so huge onus on these teams to control it. Ming is actually splitting up WE as RNG push up into the mid lane onto the inhibitor. 957 tries to hold ground, but Xie is way out of position. The flash engage to look for 957. but he just holds on. Here's Celestial from behind. They're all stacked up. The inhib turret is down. Mystic has got Xie to hold him in place. Ming breaks free, and that's going to be the Chains of Corruption. Ming still holding the line. Command attack to zone away. MLXG goes forward, and he's knocked right back out. 957 still looking for the window. Shockwave has finally found Celestial, but it's MLXG who has died. Uzi is backing away. He cannot find an opening. 2 kills, WE.
And the fact that it's a viable target that Team WE can actually just melt through RNG's tank line. They managed to find both Alistar and Gragas with the big heavy points of CC, lock them down, melt them, and then without the zoning front line, Xiaohu and Uzi just had to back up.
And not only is the Baron spawning, it's 60 seconds for that Elder, and look at the death timers for MLXG and Zatai. He is going to have to book it across the map if he wants to make it to that neutral objective.
3rd back-to-back Barons claimed from Team WE over the course of a 53-minute slugfest between these teams.
And it's not actually WE going down to look for the Elder Dragon. They're actually going top. They've already prepped that inhibitor turret to be quite low, as 957 actually teleported mid. WE, they might even try to ignore the Elder, at least set up the inhibs so that they can take it later.
If RNG make a mistake here and decide to try to hold the inhib, then they will just end the game. They could have actually tried to force it, though. Magic has his ultimate back up, and he sees 3 members mid.
957 is actually caught out. The Guardian Angel has been popped. Here comes Magic. They're coming to 957's rescue. Ming in the front. The knockup. 957 still alive. He's burning from the Ignite and will finally die. But Uzi backs it up. He gets the Blade Caller. He's doing so much damage. That's 1. That's 2. It's nearly 3 as Mystic is healing up. Teleport. They step onto each other and go head-to-head. They're triple kill. Now it's mid versus mid. Visions of Empire to zone Xie. Xiaohu is chasing, and MLXG will hound him down. Xie, can you outplay this? He doesn't have the ultimate. He's just got raw damage. Randuin's for the slow, and he sidesteps the cast. He's still going, but finally dies. RNG turn towards that Elder.
If they lose the game, it's that team fight, that decision-making right there. They had the opportunity, Baroned up on a top inhib. They decided they wanted to kill RNG and try to end the game. They rotate mid, and they are punished for it. Uzi stepping up massive there for his team.
And they're not even going for the Elder Dragon. Look at the death timers. 30 seconds, and the minion wave is on its way. Zatai has got the damage. Xiaohu has got the damage. He immediately clears out the wave. 20 seconds left on the death timers. It's going to be close, Indiana, as Xiaohu just keeps on firing.
It's over. It's done.
Key after key. And it will break down onto the Nexus. 10 seconds on the death timer, and RNG at a deficit for the entire game win a single team fight off the back of Uzi and are now on match point.
There is one thing that always comes to mind through most of this best-of-5 series that needs to be raised in the 5th and final game, and that is Doinby and his champion selection. It was raised on the analyst desk, and I do have to reiterate that fact because we already got the Sejuani, we remedied the jungle role. Now it's the mid lane. I don't think you need to be the Galio when you can be something like the Cassiopeia. If your AD carry's going Jhin, go Cassiopeia. Pick a scaling control mage, or if that doesn't fit the bill, pick something that controls the middle lane, and please help your jungler Rogue Warriors, or BLG are just going to walk over you.
Well, now we've entered into picks and bans for the final time. We'll see what that pick for Doinby is going to be, as BLG stick with the same bans that have worked for them in the past. Trundle, Kai'Sa, Olaf, they've been running it 1-2 games in a row, those 2 games that they've won. Rek'Sai banned away from Chieftain here, along with that standard Gangplank and Camille. No surprise, though, Amazing Jay. Bottoms up, he says, as he picks himself up Ornn.
Goes for the back-to-back now. On the opposite side, the Varus, the Tahm Kench, still a very strong duo if you wanted to see that one come through. But note that the Xayah Rakan is still available, so it'd be very risky to commit to just Varus, Tahm Kench. And you can see Rogue Warriors have already changed things up here.
Yeah, it's Braum priority from Killua in the bottom lane. He's not going to be able to save SMLZ this time if he ends up getting overextended. It's all up to SMLZ's positioning to keep himself safe. And Chieftain, he immediately sees that. No Tahm Kench? Oh, get me that Skarner.
Yeah, no reason not to be the Skarner this time around. You could go to Sejuani for ranged engage, but Ornn already fits that bill. So a bit of pick, a bit of early control. Even with that Skarner, you could afford the Zoe once again. Get that for Mole, but Swain exists. Remember, a super strong meta champion right now that Mole has just shown his hand on. Shows that he can actually play it to a super high level and got the MVP in game number 4. So I wouldn't be shocked to see them hold their mid lane pick for a little bit longer and perhaps go for an AD carry like the Xayah.
Timer is now running down. BLG, they see the confident first 2 picks of that bottom lane. Caitlyn is actually locked in for Jin Zhao to match that Varus Braum. So perhaps a bit of a quick pivot from BLG to keep their bottom lane safe.
And I'm super happy if they lock that in. They've actually prioritized the top lane. It can flex towards mid lane, definitely could. But going for an early top laner, having the tank battle and acknowledging that Sion will be banned if we don't pick it right now. And so they meet in the middle ground. This is recognizing what was going poorly for them in the last game. And that was Mouse going poorly for them in the last game. Very hard to make a mistake as Sion.
I believe that Sion was even hovered by Rogue Warriors before the Gnar was taken instead. There's the Swain ban away from Mole. Is it going to be a double mid lane ban, perhaps, leaving that support pool completely open? Or is it just the priority ban away from Rogue Warriors? We'll see as they get to the next pick, as BLG will get the chance to start pairing away Doinby and Flawless's pool. So far, it looks like it is going to be Flawless who receives that 4th ban.
And I would still like a Morgana to be removed from this game. Not so much that Road is an outstanding Morgana player, the bindings were connecting, but more so the Braum matchup.
Yeah.
You know, it's very easy to negate the stuns. It's so intuitive to prevent Braum from existing in that laning phase. It hurts the Sion as well. And getting rid of the Morgana opens up options in the middle lane as well for control mages, but they choose not to.
Yeah.
Instead, they go Rakan.
It is Rakan, taken away from Road. Perhaps a bit more afraid of BLG just doing that dogpile thing that they did in Game 4. 5 people show up, and 4 of them have long and very powerful engage. Jarvan is the final ban away from Flawless. Sejuani is still open, and he's got plenty of other picks that he can fall back towards.
He's got to be psyched
sorry.
out.
4 jungle bans, 5 if you include the Rek'Sai, 6 if you include Camille.
Yeah, he's got to be psyched out, but like Sejuani is just the best option for them in pretty much every scenario here. They're missing damage. That's the one thing that they're missing right now, and this is where you would say, you know, the Gangplank's removed, the Camille is removed from the top lane, unless you're going to play Fiora, and that's not really a mouse thing, that Sion is going to go top lane.
Yeah.
And that they should be picking a hyper carry or a scaling damage source in the middle lane. Something that has mid-range would be nice to have, and at this stage, the one thing that seems to be missing to me from BLG's bans is actually the Rise.
Yeah.
I think that's where he may look.
That's wide open for Doinby. He's going to get counterpick with that final red side pickup into Mole's Zoe. And something that might be able to match the wave clear if that Zoe just a little bit more as Road returns towards his very well-known Thresh. We've seen this exact style composition from BLG against Jingdong just 2 days ago. It was the Skarner-Thresh combination, but Rise locked in for Doinby as the final pickup. Rusty, we've got our compositions.
We have a very strong team composition for both respective teams as well. Mole gets the Zoe. Chieftain has one of the champions on his coin of champions that are there for him. Amazing Jay on the Ornn, Jin Zhao on the Caitlyn, and Road on his Thresh as well. That is such a scary individual draft from BLG for their comfort champions, for the champions they excel at the most. But it even works as the composition. The siege that is there for them is incredible. They've got the pick. They are set to succeed coming into this game, but they're staring down the barrel of a million Rogue Warriors tanks with a very signature style composition of their own. It's not the Tahm Kench Dom, but I can tell you that Killua is one of the best Braums that we have seen in the LPL this split. And he is very prepared to carry in this.
We'll absolutely keep an eye on his performance. Of course, he'll be next to SMLZ, the sniper of the LPL, to try and line up that final shot. All it takes is one win from Rogue Warriors to lock it out. They've dropped their chance in the last 2 games, and BLG have picked up their own momentum, bringing this to the Game 5, the final decider. Doinby, one of the most experienced mid laners in the league, taking on the rookie of Mole, who has outpaced him in these past 2 matches. Will Rogue Warriors recover? Are those smiles genuine, or are they masking the fear that this newcomer BLG roster could send them out of playoffs?
The ball is definitely in the Rogue Warriors' court for the 5th game because momentum is against them and they are against the wall. So if they want to come back into this, they need to start strong. They need to work together as a team. They need to get the ball rolling. Otherwise, they are at risk of being reverse swept when they were at the verge of a clean sweep.
And as we load onto the Rift, Rusty, the fans are going to have to be as loud as ever. Bilibili Gaming looking to reclaim playoff glory, where Rogue Warriors in their first split in the LPL are chasing down that semifinals berth in Hangzhou. Fans still cheering and representing as best they can. Coming into this Game 5, the final decider. The past 4 hours have built up to this one moment. The past 11 weeks have built up to this one deciding game. 10 players enter and 5 players leave.
Yeah, and then one team gets to continue through the LPL split, also locking themselves in Rift Rivals berth, being one of the top 4 teams in the region. The loser is eliminated from the LPL for spring 2018, only to be sitting there and watching their opposing team play through the rest of the split. Now, on the opposite sides of the jungle, once again, Flawless and Chieftain will be clearing from top to bottom.
Yeah.
And every single time we have seen Chieftain come out ahead. We have to see something different from Rogue Warriors. We have to see Doinby help out Flawless. And if not Doinby, then Mouse. Someone has to collapse and contribute towards the jungle role if Chieftain continues to bully him out.
We do see Flawless trying to go for the quick clear. Doinby on that rise should have a little bit of an easier time clearing out that mid lane with that Essence Flux. Sorry, I believe that's it.
That'll do.
Yeah. The Spell Flux.
That's the one.
Bouncing it off of minions, that's the one.
Yes, no dematerializer for exactly that, which is very unusual from any Rise, pretty much at all. Zoe, of course, having that means that she should actually have a decent amount of control when it comes to that cannon wave. The first cannon is when you get to activate it for the first time. So that does actually give an inside track to Mole if they choose to utilize that. Now, past that, of course, when you look at the team composition of BLG, not only is it a Zoe in the middle lane, but they've got the Skarner Thresh. They've got that ability to pick someone down and follow it up with the rest of it. So it's a very dangerous composition when they get to mid-game, when they get to generate those picks. And you do actually get to see Doinby's rune page here. He's gone towards Presence of Mind in his secondary.
And, of course, the Tenacity a little bit later on. Should he ever find himself getting caught?
Yeah, and he's committed. He hasn't gone towards the Mana Flow band. He's gone Nullifying Orb to have some extra resistances or, preventative against the burst.
Which I suppose makes sense when you look at the composition from BLG.
Yeah, it's not strictly bad. I feel like he's pushed himself towards the Precision Tree for Presence of Mind to compensate for a lack of Mana Flow band because he is Rise, a tier stacking champion.
Exactly.
That smashes spells out constantly. There's no one there, by the way.
Just playing the mind games.
But they don't know that.
And you have to respect that Dark Passage as long as it's still out there, because somebody could show up.
Road is just such a fun player to watch play League of Legends sometimes. He's a bard player, so he's very creative with the things that he does often.
Meanwhile, recall completed from Flawless. He did prioritize early scuttle control before double buff, so he already has a lot of early vision on this bottom side of the map. Even Doinby's pulling down there.
Yeah, earlier movements towards the... Trying to track, perhaps, where Chieftain is, but he's also looking to place earlier vision. You can see that control ward was just placed by him. So all of this extra effort, it does feel like they've gone backstage after the Game 4 defeat, and they've said, this is what we're going to do to try and track Chieftain. Do not give him a lead. And at the very least, we want to hit 6 at the same time.
And look at that. Amazing Jay. He is on the pulse of Rogue Warriors' strategy. An early ward on top of the Krugs will see Flawless take the camp.
But again,
Skyer's Bloom should see this as
Mole
well.
is just with Chieftain. At any moment, the Chieftain goes into the jungle. You best believe that the Zoe is following him around. Ryze has no control of the wave. He's not able to because he does not have the dematerializer. So they're looking to scale just that little bit more here, Rogue Warriors. There's only 2 charges left, to be fair, from Zoe, but once she hits level 5 or level 7 even, she gets better at clearing minion waves, and then there just is no answer for the Ryze besides stepping up and trying to hit her.
Perhaps it is Doinby and Rogue Warriors opting to play that later style, not playing for this laning phase. And we've seen them try to make that choice in Game 3 and Game 4. It didn't work out for them. This time it is a much more measured approach in those rune choices, at least from Doinby so far.
Yeah, I don't think that's the pure goal from them, but it's something they could be always looking towards.
Yeah.
On the opposite side, having all that pick there. Amazing Jay is a big part of the team fighting, so
Absolutely.
they'll have to be grouped and use the horn to actually start team fights off from a decent amount of range. And for Rogue Warriors, combating this, if they go late game, Skarner does tend to drop off, but that's where Amazing Jay starts to be super impactful with the ultimates. It's about hitting level 6, using those level 6 power spikes. Flawless. He can work with Doinby, especially together, to get them off. But right now he's in.
That's the slow. Road is the target. Hook will actually weave between them, but that will be flash used by one. Actually, Killua used his also used his flash.
Yeah, he was trying to engage. If the Q connected, they'd probably find themselves the kills. Note, of course, that it's Braum and Sejuani as a duo, so the 4-stack passives between both of them. If one hits, they usually get the second one off for free. But because the Q misses even after the flash, they will be able to just walk away pretty much unimpeded from their farm down in the bottom lane 2v2. But tell me this doesn't already look like a better version of Flawless from the last couple of games. He's definitely showing up in this game number 5 to play.
And again, this is Flawless's first time in playoffs in the LPL, so perhaps those nerves could have been getting the better of him earlier in the series. That hubris bringing low even the mightiest of fighters. But now he's playing for his team, he's playing across the map, and still just holding his own, maintaining vision for his vital, vital bottom lane of SMLZ and Killua.
Now we move towards the other side of the map, however, with blue buffs and red buffs being very close to spawning. So there's no real opportunities down in the bottom lane to get trades. It means the 2v2 should be free as they please. But usually, is what I mean. In this instance, they've gone for it.
Doinby is trying to get in there. Recall canceled. They managed to immediately cleanse out of it. Jin Zhao is the target, but they don't have enough damage to dive this turret.
That was very clever from Rogue Warriors. We mentioned the red buff spawning. Perhaps it's a place they could have gone. They innovate. They try something different. They go bottom lane with the Ryze ultimate. But because it doesn't work, yes, some of the spells were burnt, but because they don't get kills, Chieftain's in. He's in the enemy jungle. Mid lane's pushed in. Mole now gets a slight CS lead and gets control of mid lane, which unlocks him to be moving around the rift.
Ooh, Sleepy Trouble Bubble. Catches Flawless. Paddle Star will not be followed up with a portal jump. And Jin Zhao is able to defend the tier 1. Red buff is invaded, and BLG are the ones who actually come out ahead at the end of this.
Yeah, you're starting to see that ebb and flow, however, of Rogue Warriors making active decisions this time. The fact that they're making the decisions is what separates this game from the last 2. Ultimately, they're still in a comfortable spot. There's no sizable CS advantages anywhere besides the bottom lane, you would say, and the jungle role, respectively. And that's from the pressure of Rogue Warriors giving a lead to SMLZ, which is who they want to have a lead on.
Yeah.
And then Chieftain being able to play smartly as a countermeasure to the aggression from Flawless.
Rogue Warriors again, as ever, investing into that bottom lane. Need to be able to make something happen with it, though, and keep SMLZ safe without a Tom Kench against that. I don't even know how to describe the composition. So much crowd control. If SMLZ is ever out of position, he goes down.
When same thing
It's gonna be
applies
tough.
for the other side, right? A Sejuani, a Sion, and a Ryze, even Varus and Braum. Like,
I guess that's fair.
There's crowd control everywhere on each respective team, so no one can afford to be caught out of position. It also means that the snowballing is actually quite severe. If anyone gets an advantage, they're able to utilize all the CC and the tanks that they've got there to snowball that further.
And perhaps that's why we see Rogue Warriors trying to take the initiative in this game, looking to start the avalanche on their side of the rift instead of BLG's. Blue buff passed over to Doinby as he returns back into the mid lane.
Walks it out. No one actually recalled between the bottom laners. The AD carries will have a lot of money to spend.
Oh, yeah.
So right now, this is usually that point in the game where no one wants to gank the bottom lane because their AD carry is weak. But it also means that if you can gank it, the enemy AD carry is very weak as well. So surviving is difficult. As Doinby,
he's caught mid-rotation there, holding onto the flash. That was Impale, but he was rooted in place for the duration. Flashes the wrong direction, eats the knockup. Dragon has been started. He's able to shield himself up. Meanwhile, that's first blood to SMLZ. Doinby kiting it around the likes of Amazing J. He gets the rune prison. Flawless trying to catch up. It seems that they caught Jin Zhao and Road in rotation to find that first blood, and they will turn on to the Dragon as a result.
An awkward flash from Doinby doesn't seem to matter too much in the end. The Drake is now the target they look towards, and the reason that it looks good is because SMLZ and Kahlua find themselves the kill onto Road. And just like that, Rogue Warriors, they do get their avenue into this game. They get their entry, they get the kills, and they start a snowball.
First blood to SMLZ. Here it is. Flawless just in the brush.
Yeah, Flawless was tracking. He was already moving towards the bottom lane. Remember, during this time, they were trying to kill Doinby. They didn't have enough damage to lock that one down. Interesting part about what happened to the Rise during that trade is that he actually got the rune prison off as he was ulted by the Skarner, so no one moved. They were both just stunned in place.
And that was after already marking him for the extended duration. So good play from Doinby to keep himself alive. Look at that, Merc Treads, and now the catalyst for even more sustain and health.
Yeah, once again, rushing Merc Treads in every single game so far of this series. His priority on surviving and never getting ganked is definitely noticed.
And it shows. Chieftain and Mole, the new duo for BLG, have largely been operating around each other as a result of their, I guess, history playing together.
Yeah,
they've certainly found the synergy here.
BLG have been actively counterplaying that he has the Merc Treads.
Yes.
Why would you go towards him when you can just go towards Flawless in the jungle? You have the 2v2 advantage because Doinby's Merc Treads don't clear waves quickly. So you're able to push, you're able to roam. But in this last game, I mean, Doinby's been free to move constantly.
Rift Herald again taken very early by BLG, and though Doinby and Flawless will get the invade for the Raptor Camp and the Crystal Spire, we'll have to see if anything comes of this, because Realm Warp is back up for Doinby. If he were to try and head bottom, Flawless has got the Glacial Storm again. Guinsoo's finished off for SMLZ, but he's taken some hits here.
Just constant from Flawless, just annoyingly around the bottom lane all of the time. It's a Thresh and a Caitlyn who, they can save the Caitlyn with the Lantern, but the turret isn't exactly safe then, regardless. They've got the Sejuani to dive, they've got the Braum to dive as well, and Varus, even being able to engage as the AD carry makes things so difficult to navigate for BLG. Look at that, they push away from the turret.
Ooh, Killua. You got to be careful there. That's Realm Warp. They're under the turret. 3 goes in. SMLZ is actually in there too. He's forced to flash away. He's taking shots from Jin Zhao as they turn onto Chieftain. Road again goes low, but they're able to walk it down. The turning ignite as 2 kills are picked up. Killua tanks 1, dashes away, and barely survives, but Mole is there to head them off. He's over the wall. Portal jump to go in. He's doing damage, but it's not enough. The auto from Jin Zhao gets 1. Doinby tries to follow it up with another. Flawless is tanking this time, and it's going to be 4 kills to Rogue Warriors.
That was such a delicate fight to navigate. There's no way Rogue Warriors should have come out of that with most of their members alive. Look at the blinking health bars. The fact that they were able to do that, the execution from them. It was a delicate game that they just played. It was a difficult dance to play.
Classic faith in the mechanics. 50-50 we can outplay, and they get it.
Exactly. The fact that they did that. Just a typical Rogue Warriors day in the office for them. Kahlua, no minions, tanks the turret. SMLZ tanks the turret 2 times, and they're going on top of a Thresh box and Flay onto all of them. Jin Zhao's free hitting through all of this, but Doinby does enough damage. SMLZ's hitting most of the time as well. From this point, you're actually looking at Mole. He needs to make something happen here. He blast plants over and then just goes forwards trying to pick off SMLZ, but he doesn't. And it's so close to getting it, it forces Jin Zhao to step up, and then the tanks get their cooldowns reset, so they're able to go in once again.
This whole series has been a game of inches and small advantages. This time it's Rogue Warriors who open up with the advantages themselves. Rift Herald being utilized in mid lane. SMLZ is bottom, trying to get that first break, but the wave crashes in. Doinby is able to clear out most of it.
Oh, what have you done?
Now he's trying to group up. Even Mouse is there. That's the full charge. And the Ornhorn. Killua is the target. It's not the turret they want, it's the kills. Mouse joins in, but still, they've lost 1. The turret is still standing. SMLZ is almost there. Mole forced to back away. Finally, the turret goes down, but SMLZ joins the fight. Trouble Bubble catches him after he gets 1 kill, so he can't follow up with another. Finally, AJ will go down. But Rogue Warriors, they trade 1 for 2, though BLG get the turret and the hook goes
Oh,
wide.
they're in.
Glacial Storm. If you try and step up, you're going to be punished. Mole, ooh, boy, Mouse swings him down. Game over. Back to the fountain.
Mouse is finally showing up in this set. That kill there sets them up to succeed so well. The counterplay is there from Rogue Warriors. They're finally here. And BLG are still pushing forwards. It's a gold lead stretching for Rogue Warriors, but BLG are playing as well. This is finally the first game where I can definitively say they're both here to play. And Rogue Warriors just the ones coming out. And it starts with, like, Doinby steps on a sleepy trouble bubble. Kahlua sacrifices himself for the king in the middle lane. And there is no SMLZ here, so he arrives late. The turret's gone. It looks good for BLG. And another bubble hits SMLZ, but the kill was already there. Mouse is popping off in this fight too. Able to just net them the kills, the ultimate to get himself into the fight. Flawless. Of course, he has the ultimate. Everyone dodges the Thresh hook. Usually the hottest hands in the East is that Thresh. Cannot hit a target.
Not
and the
this
confidence.
time. Mouse over the wall finds that final kill. Now it's 9 kills to 2, 3,000 gold advantage for Rogue Warriors, but 1 turret to 1. And while this might not be a game of chess, both kings of the board are looking rather confident in this game. Doinby and SMLZ stepping up huge, the king and queen of Rogue Warriors, if you will.
And it is amazing to note the differences with Rogue Warriors being ahead in this game compared to the last two being behind, and the difference in the mid and jungle scoreline. 0-2 respectively for Mole and Chieftain, but far more superior in this 5th game is Flawless and Doinby. And now Amazing J needs to be careful.
Uses his flash, but will be chased down by Mouse. Doinby catches up. It's some good damage, but there's no way you're getting out of this one, Amazing J. Go forward something that can keep you alive a little bit longer in the base this time around.
Amazing J's not having an amazing day in the bottom lane. Fortunately for him, now joins his brethren as a 0-2 scoreline. Rogue Warriors are able to continue to... Don't give me that look. I've been brewing on that one for 3 games.
Yeah, but they were winning.
I said in the bottom lane.
Yeah. Well, this time he's not. Finally goes back to the Ornn in this game 5, but with a banner pushing onto that tier 2, Rogue Warriors 10 kills to 2, and Baron is going to be up in 3 minutes. Redemption even being utilized. Tragically, that doesn't do anything about the cannon minion.
They've just done well in their laning phase. There was a lot less pressure from BLG, and that's something that you expect to see from them when you want to match Rogue Warriors. They're an aggressive team that make risky choices, and you can often beat them through those choices by having smarter ones of your own, and that's unfortunately missing.
Yeah, this time those risky choices are paying off. Doinby pushing in the mid lane. He's finished off his Seraph's Embrace, sitting on those 10 stacks of that Dark Seal. 2 items finished off for SMLZ, the Abyssal Mask, and the Banner of Command for Mouse to only the Abyssal Mask of Amazing J. It's just, when is it too much? When is it going to be broken apart? Road is going to cleanse him back away from the Glacial Storm.
Chieftain was smartly here, so they had to disengage Rogue Warriors. They did not want to overreach their bounds if there was a 3rd member nearby. But Chieftain in the right place at the right time, able to ensure Road stays alive. Also the cleanse, of course, there for the Thresh. Unsealed Spellbook does wonders for him. But now the cavalry's arriving. Doinby through the river. Mouse being completely unseen through the top lane. And they cannot defend this turret.
They spot Doinby out. They don't quite see Mouse just yet, but still BLG smell that something is up and they back away. The tier 1 is given up and BLG are just hemorrhaging objectives. 2 turrets in the bottom lane, 1 turret in that top lane. It's all the mid lane tier 1 standing for BLG now.
You have to look at the reasons why that turret's able to fall at all. From pretty much full health to killed in 1 rotation, in 1 wave of minions. Because there is no control of the mid lane right now. Zoe has not been able to snowball. And often you'll say if a Zoe gets ahead, she can't be stopped. But if a Zoe falls behind, she can't stop anything. It's the exact same problem that you'll have in the opposite way. And against a 4-0-5 Rise, one of the hardest things to do in League of Legends in the LPL is to play against Doinby when he's snowballed, because he just builds tank. Is the kind of player that will have a Righteous Glory instead of completing that into a Rod of Ages or an Abyssal Mask. Just loves himself some tanky stats, and when he starts snowballing, as tanks are wont to do, there's nearly no counterplay there.
It's just the pure denial play. Ooh, bit of a small mistake there, just wastes some of BLG's time. It's a fight, though, as Road tries to step up for vision and pays for it with his life. His AD carry was there with him, but there was no chance that he could have gotten out of there alive.
And such is the road way of life, of course. Caught placing vision. They'll get the Drake at the exact same time. Unfortunately for them, it's a Cloud Drake, but fortunately for them, there's now 3 consecutively, so they are moving very quickly. Sonic around the Rift. You have to look at what's next for them, and with a Baron in 40 seconds, Rogue Warriors should be setting up their vision control around that area. That objective should be theirs to control, not necessarily take, but control.
Already setting up wards all around the area. There is one just behind the red buff of Rogue Warriors that I'm sure Flawless is on his way to clear over now. And that will make that side of the map completely dark. Plus, Mouse is still sitting on that banner of command. So like you said, Rusty, it's only a matter of time. And BLG, do they have an avenue back into this game? They've got a Caitlyn if they can get it to 6 items, but that seems a bit risky.
That is a place you actually have to look towards, like you mentioned, the banner of command being available. Red buff's first, of course, for Rogue Warriors, but if they get the Baron, a banner of command is pretty much unstoppable in the tank matchup. There's already a lead for Mouse in the 1v1. So you put a banner in that lane with a Baron buff, turrets are going to fall down. This is what Rogue Warriors did in game number 1 when they snowballed the lead to a victory very quickly. Is they had the Scion, they had the banner of command, and he was taking inhibs for free.
So then where do we look to BLG to get themselves back into this game? Just dragging it out, trying to go for 6 items?
They definitely need to continue to try and scale, but that is risky against the Ryze, who is already starting to scale up. But yes, scaling is an option. You've currently got a 2-in-1 Caitlyn as well, and sieging against the Caitlyn is very difficult to navigate at times, because you can have the 5 traps placed down. Unfortunately, though, with all of the turrets still standing, particularly in the mid lane, even if they are able to stem the bleeding, it's very hard to stop those turrets from falling down. So let's get 3 items, try and get a pick with Zoe. Skarn is pretty much irrelevant from this point onwards, just about defending the Caitlyn. But if the Zoe can burst someone out, if Zoe can burst out Doinby or SMLZ, then their job is harder.
Ooh, Flash Glacial Storm. Suddenly that pick just became a lot harder to find. Like you said, Doinby's still unlocked in this mid lane. He's found Jin Zhao and chunks him down. That's the heal used Road with the Flash Flame, but a sidestep from Doinby.
Oh my God.
Steps up again! The solo kill, 1v2. Here comes Mouse through the trap line, a double kill for Doinby.
Does not stop. He goes forwards and gets the kills. Now the ult straight towards the Baron.
SMLZ's already there. They even bring the minions, but it doesn't even matter.
This is what happens when the captain of the team steps up in a game 5. He gets not just 1 pick, but they find a second. Mouse there to reinforce him, and the Baron is theirs.
Amazing Jay tries to go for the knock-up, tries to go for the deny, but it will be secured. Baron to Rogue Warriors for the next 3 minutes, and they are relatively healthy. Looks like they're going to even use it before heading back to base to top themselves up.
They should be able to get themselves this turret for free. BLG not going to be there to answer, so an extra outer turret before they go back and spend all of their money. But Doinby was really the one who earned most of the money, so he's already gone to base and teleported. Now they have got Banner of Command on cooldown, so they're not going to be able to use that straight away to get any further objectives with the Baron buff, but they are still strong enough that they're able to push forwards and threaten.
Yeah, the next wave coming out of base is a cannon wave for Rogue Warriors. That's a very long way away from Mouse on the other side of the map, though. As Mole, just with that Spell Thieves.
Gets me every time.
Yeah. Meanwhile, engage in the mid lane. Chieftain tries to get in and goes right back out. He is dead as Mouse, with the flank fight on the side, finds another kill onto Road. They chase it even further forward. Rogue Warriors at this point will not be stopped. They're not even waiting for the cannons.
No, Mole's lucky to even found a flash from someone else who used one. The Baron's here. They're pushing forwards. Inhib's most likely going to drop. It's about what else falls. Do BLG step too far and make a mistake and get caught?
Oh, they're looking for the kills. He catches him with the 90 caliber net in animation. The inhibitor goes down, and Rusty, BLG are falling apart in this game 5.
At the seams, Rogue Warriors have got momentum, and it's very hard to slow down this steam train when it goes back the other way. And a Zoe behind, a Rise ahead, and tanks ahead with the Scion and the Sejuani. We'll get to see, most importantly, what happens here, because Doinby, just a casual sidestep of the Flay from Road, who flashes forwards. Very simple from him, honestly. And then the bounce, which is where he gets the kill. Road comes back with the Essence Flux on him, and then steps next to his AD carry, so the bounce was there. And that's where the second kill comes through as well. Mouse able to reinforce his mid laner. Clean from Doinby.
Absolutely. 50,000 gold, a 14,000 gold lead, 6-0-6 on Doinby, 6-1-6 from SMLZ. Mole is forced to back away from Mouse even. Sleepy Trouble Bubble will deny him as Mole has to get one more cheeky auto attack to escape with that Dark Passage, but this map no longer belongs to BLG. The only sanctuary that's safe for them is their high ground, is their base, and Baron's still up for 60 seconds.
The only thing that is safe for them, you're right, is inside their base, but there's already an inhibitor missing, and the Baron with the Fan of Command getting close to available once again. Even then, the 1-3-1 split push from Rogue Warriors is a possibility, but they're so far ahead that why not
Look at the gold
just
difference.
Group as 5.
4,400 gold advantage for Doinby. Another 4,000 gold lead for SMLZ. That is massive. 2,000 gold for Mouse. He's got to finish Rabadon's death
Oh, they're
cap.
just going to desperation fight.
Yeah, that's Realm Warp from Doinby into the mid lane. He's actually not there. They found the tank in the front. He's actually pulled in with the Dark Passage. Look at how deep Mouse is getting pulled. The shield in order to escape, but Doinby has joined the fight. The damage source has arrived, and BLG backs against the wall. Their playoff lives against the wall. They're going to try and finish him off, but they just don't have enough damage. A triple kill. 3 members going down. Jin Zhao back onto the fountain. He will be stunned and die as Mole kites it even further out. SMLZ going to get that final shot to add insult to injury, but Rusty, Rogue Warriors have done it. They have taken the series as they turn onto the Nexus. They're going to advance to the semifinals in Hangzhou. They are going to deal with EDG next week, and they have secured their ticket to Rift Rivals later this year.
And a turnaround in a Game 5 as well after losing 2 back-to-back games. Rogue Warriors, they came out onto stage, they were smiling, and you could see the elation.
You can hear
now.
him.
The crowd even behind him. A lot of support again. They're happy, they're excited. And they've done it. They've gone from week 9 and week 10 where they look shaky. 4 back-to-back set defeats against teams that should be well below them in the standings. They come in 2-0 against BLG. They bounce back in a Game 5. Mental resilience.